Folks, it's Talkin Pit. Hey, we made it.
Hello.
I have TieTuesday, WobblyPython, and Voice of Dog with me. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, chef.
We're gonna be going through our games of the year picks. Just a couple quick games choices. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of just like some games that I've been enjoying this year. Not really my games of the year, just some like games I've been enjoying.
Games this year.
I'm glad nobody really did the assignment.
Maybe not came out this year, but maybe probably did. I don't know.
No, literally only one of mine did. So no, not at all. Not even a little.
Games played this year.
Yeah.
That's closer.
Talkin Pit was never a game of the year show. It was just talk about a game you've played this month that you liked show. So, you know.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I just picked things I thought were fine. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. The whole point is we'll get to it, right?
Yeah, let's
I'll
do it.
justify this.
I got a little layout here. We're going to start with mine. Mega Man X8 demake. I have some footage for you of that. What a game. Let's talk about it. So this was a game that I've only played the actual game once. I would say this is better than the actual game, but I might be biased towards, you know, good Mega Man games. The X8 series, well, the X series has a lot of stinkers in it, and I don't think that X8 is too bad, but it's just another, like, if it wasn't Mega Man and it was just some other generic thing, whatever, it doesn't really make any difference to me that it's Mega Man, and I don't feel that way about the actual series, like Mega Man regular. This demake hits the same way X2 does.
I would say the big thing with X8 is one of the biggest systems they added, the like huge store with a ton of buyable stuff. There were ways to like easily cheese your way around it and have infinite money to just like skip that entirely. And then the game was like, okay. So I feel like at its core, X8 added something no one wanted. So like if the demake made that less impactful, we're already going a great direction.
Is this
has
not
a couple...
the 3D one?
It is not 3D at all. It's completely redrawn. We'll talk about pixel art and how much better it looks also, but I mean, this is Bamboo Pandemonium. I have all the stuff, so I'm just like cruising through with all the equipment showing it off, but one of the options I was showing off there is the charge fade out noise, that annoying buzz that happens to all Mega Man. This is the only game I've ever seen where it just like after 1 second it stops making that sound. What a feature. It's got a CRT.
Oh my god.
Like you
that's
can hear
huge.
It.
Oh my god.
But at some point here I did put in a picture or two of what X8 actually looks like. It's a standard like PS2 look at our 3D stuff kind of thing, and it just looks like X2. I mean, it just looks so much better to me, the pixel art. So it doesn't look bad in the PS2 version. It's just not my style at all, and I miss this kind of game.
This ride armor whips. It's so cool. Sorry.
Also, the one where it's ugly is X7. X7 was where they were having still having some serious issues converting the 2D models to 3D models. Like, it's not hideous, but it is notably uglier than X8, which is like fine.
This game feels incredible. There's Bamboo Pandemonium's actual stage up there in the top right. That's what it's supposed to look like. So they redrew all of this to, you know, X style, correct style.
I'm so sad that like you can do the cool conveyor thing and then like they just kind of drop that off the bottom. I felt like that was going places.
I think it does. I just am an idiot.
What is this, dude?
There's a whole...
Sorry. That's a great design.
This stage has a whole bunch of elevators where you can move your ride armor around and catch it and stuff. I played Bamboo Pandemonium on the PS2 version first, and I was stuck for like 2 hours because what a hell pit. What an absolute mess. Oh, lost my armor.
Man, they've really got something for both Voice of Dog and me. You've got the cool ride armor and also the little guy. Like, they're really hitting here.
Also, the wall jumps look good, which is what I care about as a little X pervert. That's me. I'm like, how's the wall jump feel? Hey, is Zero in this? How's Zero in this?
This demake, I think he might be now, but at first when I played this, and what I have here is not got Zero in it. It was just X, but I could have sworn I saw somebody playing with Zero. But there's 2 sets of armor. They're radically different. You can mix and match your parts. The secrets. This game is kind of fair most of the time, but some of the difficulty is really tough. X8 itself was way worse about it. I think they balanced it really well. There's just a couple parts that are really mean. And there's some optional content like fighting all 8 bosses at once. That's pretty tough. Didn't have a fantastic time doing that. I did make it through all of it though within like a couple hours. It wasn't too bad. I'll bail this level, check out another one, and there's a whole bunch of options in there.
This looks good.
So out here you can change all your buttons, change your options, and the X menu has the armors. You can get your like ultimate attack.
Oh my god!
If you have the whole set and you keep it one set, you can see it lights up on the left there. Whatever Giga Explosion or whatever that is over there.
I'm not sure about the Bomb Squad collar on like this design. this looks a little bit like X has like shouldn't be licking himself, trying to keep him away.
I think the big problem is there's not enough chunk on the torso. The torso looks a little nude when it's in the Bomb Squad armor. Yeah.
I got a nude torso.
I need some svelte abdomen with my shame collar shoulder armor. Thank you.
I think that's what 0 is for. Which I gotta ask, is there a 0 route in this game as well?
I think that's what I'm not sure about. I might need to check.
Chat said no. Chat has been
Okay.
checking into it, and they said no. There is no 0 yet, and no plans to add him yet, just because of the avoiding scope creep, which I think is fair. I think it's fair. I do think not having 0 in a Mega Man after X5 is like always going to be disappointing to me, because 0's like one of the best designed and feeling characters. There's a reason they keep putting him in fighting games. It's because it feels so good to control. It feels great to be 0, you know?
People modded him in. I've seen somebody playing as him, so that's probably what it was. The creator of this just wanted to keep it nice and simple. There's 3 characters in this game. Axel is the last one, and I don't like him at all. He's basically if Kirby sucked. Like
He's bad Kirby. Yeah.
So
he's like Kirby with like 12 extra steps. Yeah.
He's not here, but he's like the only good part of X7, and only in the ending, because I hate playing him in X7 too. But he does this thing where he pretends to be the bad guy, and Sigma gets like stabbed by him, and it's really funny. And that's how Sigma dies.
I'm glad that Sigma gets stabbed by the robot equivalent of a child.
I enjoy this big triple buster here.
Iron soldiers.
The worst part for Axel is like Mega Man, but Kirby already exists. That's Mega Man. He takes your. I've got your power. That's what he does. That's his whole thing. Yeah, like he already does that.
It's a miracle that I didn't die here. Like, make no mistake, this is way shittier than it looks. Like, it's still X8. There's spikes all over the damn place.
I've never considered that Mega Man was just robot Kirby. I'm reeling. I'm having like a
What is
moment.
that capsule over there? Did you already get that one?
Yeah, it's armor. Well, that's my game. That game's free because it's a demake. You can go grab it. 16-bit Mega Man X8, easy to find, great to play, high skill ceiling, but I think it's got some options to help you out if you're struggling with it. TieTuesday, what you got for us?
Oh, okay, yeah. Can you pull up the Zero Ranger video? I think that was the first one I posted in the Talkin Pit channel. Or do you want? Actually, I can just stream it. Wait, yeah, hold on. I can just stream that through the feed we set up earlier.
Okay.
Give me a second. That'll be fine. Because then I can jump around and be a little more fluid with it. No, not that one.
I'm ready for complimentary colors.
There we
This
go.
game
Sick.
is beautiful, and I think has forced me to create the single best TieTuesday art I've ever made.
Oh, you'll have
I
to do
concur.
your audio.
Let me get Mike muted. Yeah. Okay, should be good now. Can someone else speak?
Yeah, I think we're good.
I'm making noise.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Got it set up then. I just want to make sure I got everybody. All right, yeah. Hi, I'm TieTuesday, and this game here is called Zero Ranger, and it has cursed me into being a shmup guy. I regret to inform everyone I'm shmup pilled now. I love shooting them up. It's one of my favorite activities now. I love spaceships. It's really good stuff. So this is a game, Zero Ranger. It is a shmup, so like kind of Gradius, Raiden, that kind of game, etc. The art style is almost entirely two colors, orange and green. It is unbelievably well done. The art is incredible. The music in this game is phenomenal. Earlier this year, even though this game came out years and years and years ago, earlier this year, a full arrange album of the OST came out that is like 4 times longer than the original OST of the game, because so many people came in to remix songs from it because they all liked it so much, including people like the composer for Under Night, Rido, just also happened to do some fantastic stuff. So the version of the game we're going to be watching a little bit of, this is a playthrough by Jamers, who unbelievable shooting game player, just ridiculous at these kind of games, does all sorts of high score runs, like did a high score run of the really bad shmup in UFO 50, like the frame it released. Yeah, just like absolute lunatic of being incredible at these games. Also dropped by in chat to offer some helpful tips. One thing I will say, the shmup community is like so supportive and so cool. Some of the raddest people I've had the joy of interacting with on Blue Sky and on Twitch. But yeah, game is absolutely gorgeous. It generally is really easy to keep things straight visually because the style is so straightforward. Also, the game has a very natural progression where there's a bunch of story reasons why there's like 2 loops of the game, but the first run through is like pretty approachable, pretty learnable. Getting through the first level or 2 without dying is pretty doable in only a couple attempts. But then lap 2, the harder versions of the stages really go really wild, really difficult. It starts ramping up to like lower mid-level bullet hell stuff, but it is like a really enjoyable curve, and the whole game's only like an hour long or so. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is, if you do like shmups at all, also I just realized I still have the audio doubling there. There we go. Sorry about that. If you like shmups and you haven't played Zero Ranger, this game is like so full of fun nods and stuff to other ones. Like, yeah, that's our type. that's our type. It's the ship from it's the Victory Viper. That's him. That's the Victory Viper.
I know that guy. Video games.
Video games. Yeah. And really fun detail here, and just kind of the level of stuff that goes on in this game. There's a bonus you get here. R-Type shoots the rings from R-Type. You can actually fly through the middle of them. Yeah, you can fly through the middle of them. If you hit 3, that's how you get one of the 3 special bonuses for the first stage. Yeah, it's like super dangerous, but that's why Jamers just stopped firing there for a bit, so he could get that 3rd ring. And that is one of the reasons you get this S, that little pop out there. And yeah, so game is just like, yeah, game is super sick. There's a tons of like little detail here and there. Bosses are very cool in this as well. First one's pretty straightforward, not too super crazy. Ship shooting stuff at you. But at the end of every boss, I'll just skip ahead a little bit, you get a choice between a couple of power-ups. I think Chambers goes for the reverse shot. Yeah.
When those are
Ass laser.
alternating shapes and like symbols, is that alternating the power up, or do they both represent the same thing?
They represent the same thing. And so the thing is, the first time you play through this, your game is not going to look like this. This is a thing that you unlock after. So the game kind of has like a little bit more of a story focus to it up front. There's a lot of ties to like different types of Buddhism and things of that nature. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in the background. And once you get the true final ending of the game, you get like Sweat Lord mode. You get where it just turns into a way more traditional arcade shooter, and it like strips a bunch of that stuff out and is like way more straightforward. And it's like, it's the if you want to post your sick run of this game without putting up any spoilers, this exists for that. So this is how you get to avoid. I can show you the game without spoiling any of like the really fascinating visual set pieces, to some extent.
That's really cool. I'm glad that they understand what makes like their games compelling and like difficult in this genre so hard as to like create 3 distinct loops and modes. And 2, like I really appreciate them giving us that space, because like Voice of Dog has been going through the Outer Wilds, and like that is just a game where I've been in Discord calls and I go, "Have you played that?" And they go, "No." And I go, "Oh, well, that's this conversation then. Sorry. Get back to me." Like, there's just nothing I can say or do for you until you have, without completely destroying it. So, like, that's really cool. Like, that's a very grand amount of understanding.
And another game that was made by this studio more recently, their way more recent game that you might have heard of is Void Stranger, which is this like super deep puzzle game with like all sorts of weird little interactive layers, metatextual stuff, interacting with the game in strange ways. And you see a lot of that DNA in Zero Ranger early on. Also the color stuff, like the color theory, because Void Stranger is also like a beautifully done, like largely, 2 and 8-bit color scheme. And so like, this is another one of those, in that art style. But yeah, there's all sorts of different power-ups you can get over the run, and I just want to highlight one. There's a few segments. First of all, the game is beautiful. Beginning to end, the game is beautiful. The soundtrack's incredible. If nothing else, if you decide I don't want to play Zero Ranger, I hate shmups, I can't stand them, blah, I'm gonna throw up TieTuesday. How dare you put this on my screen in this the month of December? Please go listen to the soundtrack. It's so good. Please listen to the soundtrack. I want to show off some of the stuff that gets you into lap 2. So you get the ability to transform into a Gundam, and you either get a sword or a drill, and it leads into some of the most aggressive, over-the-top fun set pieces where you are just going ham non-stop. So, okay, so there are collisions with foreground objects. There's 2 things, and that's something it's really good you brought that up. So there's a couple mechanics that Zero Ranger does that make it a little more friendly to new players. First of all, you do have contact damage with a lot of enemies. This is Jamers. The answer of, is this player just ridiculous? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, they're just ridiculous. However, this game does have bump protection, where if you get bumped by an enemy one time, you'll just have like a little bit of a uh-oh aura around you for a second, and if you don't get bumped again, you don't take damage. So like, this game encourages you to be a little bit more aggressive, gives you a little bit of protection to be a little bit, more aggro than normally, which is, I think, pretty sick. I think it's a pretty good change. The other mechanic this game does that I really like, it's not going to come up too much in Jamer's playthrough here because they're, making no mistakes, getting a million points, just being ridiculous. So the way you earn lives in this game, you can see how the score counter up at the top left is like slowly filling up yellow with a little bit of dark orange on the end. So when that fills up all the way, you get another life. So it kind of functions as your meter. The thing is, the lower your life total is, like the less lives you have in the tank, the less points you need to roll over for another one up. So like, if you're down to no lives remaining, you don't have to survive for that long to get like 1 in the tank. And then like, if you have a pretty good score strategy and you're holding up okay, you can get back to 2 or 3 pretty quickly. So like, for your early 1cc attempts, it's really forgiving, just on that, like, you kind of have an X factor comeback of like, you even for me, like I did a test run yesterday and I slopped it up pretty hard on the first part of lap 1, but then just managed to make it up entirely in the back half. Other parts that I would like to highlight if you're interested in playing this game, there is a very cool treasure boss rush portion that I think absolutely rips. One of my favorite portions of this game in general. You get a funny wheel of guys to ruin you.
Oh no. Is there a melon
And
bread?
it's great. So you have the brain. No, there isn't a melon bread, but there is something similarly goofy, positive. And let me see if I can find him. Here he is. It's the salamander from
Salamander.
Salamander. That's right.
No, that's not what he looks like. No.
I love it. It's so good.
I love this. This is very good.
He's like a bunch of orbs or something. How dare you?
Yeah, Zero Ranger slaps, and then like, so after you finish your first lap, you get presented with a second lap where the game is a lot harder and they do add a lot more stuff, but also you have all of your tools from the beginning, right? So like whatever, because your first run through stage 1, you just have your shoot forward and nothing else, but now you have, shoot forward, sideways beam, charge shot, reverse shot, drill, sword, whatever, so they can throw more stuff at you. And the boss designs like change in not so subtle but very cool ways. They have some secondary forms that pop up. It's just a super sick game. I really strongly recommend Zero Ranger. And the way the difficulty scales up is really satisfying. It's a great game to learn with. It feels really good and satisfying to play. So like, even when you're just beating your head against a wall with one of the last bosses of the game over and over and over, it feels good to do. It's worth doing. It's fun to explore the strategies that are available. They also added in a kind of short little like time trial-ish mode called White Vanilla. That's like kind of like a quick sampler platter of a bunch of the levels, with the exception of it's got like a more like Beautiful Joe style ranking system where if you get stuff really quickly out of the way, you go to the next section faster, you rank up, etc., etc. But it does start getting harder if you're doing better. I'll throw one more. I'm gonna throw a little bit of the ending just so folks can get like about what level it scales to, as far as if you want the difficulty to be there. Oh, sorry, let's try to turn volume up a little. There we go.
I love the hand spray. I saw that for a fraction of a second.
This fight entirely just rips. This fight is so good.
The level
Yeah,
Mom Luana.
Yeah, kind of Mom Mulana. The music is also very to whomstative. It's got the Zune trumpets. So the thing that's great about this game's soundtrack is it's wonderful. It stands up entirely on its own, but also you can feel what shmups they're referencing. Like the love letters are very clear and very pronounced, but still very much their own thing. Like it never feels like it's being... It doesn't feel like it's just presenting something to me and being like, you remember this? You like this? It's just like, check it out. We did our own take on it. And it's also hype as hell. And that's kind of it's what I love about Zero Ranger. It just in general. And yeah, super fun game to learn with. It goes on sale all the time. This game's like, in theory, a full run of it beginning to end's only like an hour. You can easily put 40 hours into this game. It's outrageous.
I'm trying to count the layers of parallax in this, and I feel like there's just like 8 going back there that I can pick out. Like there's so much going on, but I can still read everything. That's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my pitch for why you should check out Zero Ranger and give it a try. It's cool. Check it out.
It's good.
Anyone got any questions about Zero Ranger?
Yeah. So like if you were handing shmups to somebody like as a concept and you wanted them to sort of like not just like get their hands on the controls and be like, okay, this is how you move a ship and shoot. Like, do you think this would be like a good baby's first shmup?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so it's satisfying. The ship is like a lot of fun. You have different there's 2 different ships and all the weapons like perform differently on all of them. So there's like a lot of stuff to experiment with. There's a lot of room to play with. A lot of attacks I think are like very clear and very readable in a way that some older shmups struggle with a little bit. We'll talk game 3. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I don't feel like you have any of that in here. I also feel like your hitbox is usually very clear in this game. It's like just the orange part, I also think it's got a really good, satisfying ramp to it, because like I took a bunch of time learning lap 1 and then even more time learning lap 2, but it did like scale in a very smart way. So yeah, I think it's a great one to learn. I mean, hey, it was the first one that got me pulled in too deep, so I think on that front it's real good. So yeah, Zero Ranger, check it out. It's good.
Looks fun. I got a game like that in the pipe a little later too. WobblyPython, what you got?
So I'll get like the big mainstream one like out of the way. If you want to pull up the Helldivers 2 footage that I linked you in DMs.
Yeah.
So I edited this a little bit together. I was when I opted to join the Talkin Pit, I was actually in a room full of people and we were playing it and they all agreed to capture very graciously. So thank you to them. You may see their names like in the footage popping around. This game has been an absolute roller coaster, right? Like people have heard a lot of things. There's a lot of opinions going around. And like as of, the Christmas season 2024, I would like to sort of pitch it to people as like a fun experience. I played a lot of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 years and years and years ago. It was a wave-based sort of big group shooter thing, and it required a little bit of cooperation. The ability to click heads was sort of a must. And this game has absolutely taken that space for me. It is really fun to get together with a dedicated group, and it is also fun to just join randomly with some dudes, if that makes any sense. You can play as coordinated or as uncoordinated as you are capable of doing, and I think that's fun and neat. They've added a lot of new content, and they are continuing to add new content that tends to hit pretty good, and they have found an amazing balance of difficulty at the moment, because like people who may have joined at launch did go through some bad times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, as a huge game balance enthusiast, the initial launch of the game was really fun, and then they kept making it harder and more aggressive and more oppressive, and then they told the person who kept doing that, you're no longer on the balance and fun team, and now they made the game fun again, and it's good. Yeah, just long term prospects are bright. It looks like the people who are currently at the reins understand what a fun game is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I cut over to this because I wanted to sort of encapsulate one of the things that makes this game really interesting, compelling. It's made by the same team that made, Helldivers 1, obviously, but also you may know them from Magicka, and they love taking games and mixing them with other game concepts. So this is Stratagem Hero, which is a special unlock if you buy like their special edition and sort of support them with the more expensive thing. And it just like asks you to put in what they call stratagem inputs. And these are arrow key inputs that you do as quickly as is possible, because the world is coming at you like a Zero Ranger boss most of the time. And it's really compelling and really fun, despite, you're just putting arrows in. It's easy, right? It's easy in this situation where you're standing alone on a bridge just looking at them. But when things are exploding, fires coming at you, bugs are snarling at you from inches away off of your camera, this becomes a really critical mechanic to be able to bust out at a moment's notice. Sometimes you'll be falling through the air trying to do these number inputs before you hit the ground and are interrupted, or like trying to reload weapons in between putting in these arrow inputs. And they are all over the place. Consoles, they have you play like a little bit of pipe dreams here and there. There's all sorts of fun little mini games, and they have woven them in a beautiful way that I really enjoy. Other things that people sort of miss about this game, this is maybe one of the best stealth action games since Metal Gear Solid 5. There is a robust set of like detection, both visual and audio, that exists for all types of enemies, and they seem to have different properties per. I have been trying to sneak around for several months at this point, and I have found that like the Terminids or the Starship Troopers bugs enemies, I'm pretty sure they can smell where you have been. They will track your path through the level if you have been crawling or sneaking and walking and not moving via other means like sick car here. bots will fan out and do patrols and have like specific routes that they will sort of guide themselves around on. You can throw explosives or drop turrets in places, and enemies will route towards those things instead of detecting you, the player. And these new guys, which you're seeing footage of right now, the Illuminate, which is sort of the latest whole heap and pile of content, the base chaff little guys, the dudes that you've been seeing running around, you know, being sort of zombies, are nearly blind, I've found. They will see you if you're in like a well-lit street or whatever, and they will react to you. But short of having one of their larger units present to direct them, they are genuinely kind of mindless. And all of the factions, if you let them sort of speak for themselves, have these different behaviors. And I think a lot of people miss them in the carnage and the mayhem. And I think that that's a very cool little bit, that if people are looking at this game going, oh, it's just sort of a mindless shoot 'em up, there's a shocking amount of depth that is there. I am seeing a couple people name them as the vote list, and I was gonna maybe try to avoid talking specifically about sort of the tone of this game, but it's kind of unavoidable because it's pretty baked in. This game is like a very large form political satire in a lot of ways. I think that the best summary that I have found about sort of the setting for this game. Oh yeah, sometimes you don't live very long. I think my favorite thing about the setting for this, when it comes to like sort of the tone and the satire and the way that you can think about this and where they're coming from, October 26th is the single largest and most important holiday that the home planet of the Helldivers Super Earth has, and that is the day that the Patriot Act went into effect in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Wow, what a wild doinky dink.
My favorite world building detail in Helldivers 2 is that it has a randomized voice option for every time you die and redeploy. You just have a new character with a new voice to like make sure it really nails home that you're just a new son of a bitch every time. It's just a new helpless little piece of shit who's about to explode in 10 goddamn seconds. Yeah, it's the best. And they all have the same one joke, just like all fascists. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. Oh man, there's so much. This game just like oozes it too. It does not use subtext. It does not use subtlety in any way. It's got wonderful little touches. Like if you are holding down a machine gun burst for particularly long, your little guy will start laughing and screaming and like shouting things like, how about some democracy, and like whatever else. You cannot avoid it, and it is very good that it is so in your face, because this game, oh shoot, I forgot the shot.
You will be so sick of the Liberty line by hour 2 of the game, and then by hour 10 of the game you're like, actually the Liberty line owns.
Yeah.
How about a nice cup of Liberty? And they all say as they pull their 10,000th grenade today.
Here's one for democracy, as your friends all explode because you dropped a grenade because something kicked you in the butt while you were throwing it. Like,
yeah, you went to fire the Lancer, and unfortunately the big toxic boy just lunged in a little too deep when the rocket went off. Yeah, classic. So
like just from that, like this is a game where you sort of drop in and party with your dudes. And there was one more thing I really wanted to touch on. This is a very team game, right? Like getting in and playing with a 4-stack is very important. And I did talk about like dropping with randos and like getting with your friends. And I know that organizing a lobby is hell, right? Like many of us are adults now. It's really hard to manage our time and like get in there and do this stuff. This game has drop-in multiplayer in the single most literal way I have ever seen. In that when you join your friend's lobby, you literally fall from the sky and are just in the game now. And you are immediately meshed into the team. You're working. You get to see what the other players have brought ahead of time. And I've been cutting that out for a little bit, but I do spend some time in the menus a little bit later in this footage. It's honestly the only thing that makes me sad is that there's only 4 seats to a lobby. I played a lot of PlanetSide 2, and I would love to play Helldivers 64, where the 64 is how many people show up PlanetSide. That would be so much fun. Friendly fire is, I don't want to call it mandatory because you can be incredibly careful. I think I've only got the one clip of me absolutely blasting somebody through a squad.
The way I would describe it is friendly fire is hilarious. That shit happens constantly, and it's funny every goddamn time. Mini-Matt, stop putting down flamethrower turrets. Suck my ass. They're good at killing the bugs. All right, man. And then some hapless dipshit runs out with a sniper rifle like, I'm going to snipe him from the front lines. What the flame turrets? Who put these here?
I am the monster who brings the Tesla turret specifically, and whenever people get zapped by it, I go, "Are you half bug? That's democracy in action!" Like, stay away from the big glowing blue light, idiot. This is by the same people who brought you Magicka. Yes, blowing each other up is fun. It's funny. You have like 20 resupplies per mission too if you've got like a full 4 stack, so it's not like it's even expensive. Life is cheap.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the other things here is the natural curve of tension it gives to missions. And like, don't get me wrong, it will start tense if you're on like the highest difficulty on like a really high level robot map or whatever. But you get this natural curve of like everyone's kind of messing around, warming up, goofing off, doing whatever when you have, you know, 25 guys left in the load. And then like towards the end, it's like, oh, we're getting really close to the end, but also we have 2 guys left. So we might want to lock in a little bit. And like it creates this natural tension of like you get time to goof around and be loosey-goosey and kind of wander around a bit. And then there's like the moment where like shit's going down and you got to lock in with the team. And it's good. I like that.
That's actually exactly how we found a lot of the stealth mechanics that I've been talking about. Shout outs to Dr. Dubs, who joined me in soloing a bunch of like 8s and 9s, like the 2 of us, you know, duoing, soloing, trying to figure this stuff out together. And there were some absolute wonderful moments where Dubs and I are both literally like Fortnite hiding in the bushes prone while patrols of bugs are walking over the top of us. And we were realizing that like, oh, we don't have to fight everything. It's really changed the way that like our groups have been working together and structured. Oh, this is the menus. I wanted to talk about this specifically. So we've been dropping stuff from orbit. We've been blowing things up. We've had machine guns and what have you. You choose those things before you go in, right? And you can see, you know, everybody else has their stuff on full display. So you can see what the team is doing. I know what I'm about. And I just slam a bunch of stuff down there, and it's everybody else's problem to deal with. I bring a car, some turrets, you know, one thing to throw from space. You know, there's tons of guns, anything to suit your play style. Oh, this was the mission where we all took bad guns, me for footage recording and everybody else because we were doing really good for a while and decided to do science all independently without talking about it.
If there's one thing Super Democracy is willing to supply you with, it is 12 different flavors of airstrike, 3 different kinds of orbital cannon, and cool ranch flavored mines. Like it's sick. They will give you all that shit, and it's all a bad idea. The number of times I was like, boys, I'm putting down the big orbital strike, and they're like, wait, no, I'm still in there. I'm like, well, you better not be, because them shells are coming.
You're doing a bit, but they literally supplied us with experimental poison mines on this exact drop that you were watching footage of.
Cool ranch mines!
Cool ranch Doritos. Absolutely unreal that you would lock in with the Helldivers 2 theming to that degree. Hot
Taste
dog.
this way for flavor.
Here's the taste of democracy, as they would say. No, really, they say that. That's a thing in the game. Man, I just love this game. It's really fun. I play it with people on my Discord. I play it in Ty's Discord a lot. Like, it's pretty easy to like get into a room, and even if it's not, I have met some really nice people over the comms. Ever since I stopped with the PSN crossplay stuff, I basically have only had positive encounters with folks. It's oh yeah, here's the poison mines, by the way. I'm wearing the poison armor. I don't care. Everybody else is coughing their lungs out.
Any game on cape. You got me signed up.
You got a lot of different capes in this game.
Oh, there's so many capes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have explicitly said there will never be a capeless option. It is critical to freedom. Oh, is my audio desynced with the video? Yeah, I slapped this together really quick. It didn't get a lot of QA. That doesn't happen in the game. That just happens in my vid here.
Also,
yeah.
I apologize if you already mentioned it, but the differences between the like different sets of enemies are like huge. Just to be clear, like it's like an entirely different game between robots and bugs. It's wild.
Oh, and we got the squids now too, which you're seeing. So for anybody who's interested in that, the bots are like Star Wars, Hoth fight crossed with Terminators. The bugs are very much like Starship Troopers, if you're familiar with that movie. And the new squid aliens are genuinely like playing some sort of like 60s sci-fi horror slash like early XCOM shooter. It's wild. If you can avoid detection, there's like lots of tension. There's cool action driving cars around in the new urban maps. Their technology is like weird, and it's hard to fight them using all of the ways that we have learned with the other things. We've been having to completely address like the way that we play. It's really cool. It's really fun. Oh, and the soundscape of this game. I know that the audio is desynced at the moment for reasons, but the soundtrack starts out with this like triumphant, like big horns, pro-patriotic, big boot stomping sort of stuff. The minute you hit the ground, all of those like musical tones and leitmotifs and things shift to like a minor key and get kind of muted, and the game is like, okay, but like what if liberating was scary though? You are very fragile if you get overwhelmed. It's very compelling. It's a lot of fun, and I would say that if you've been looking for something in sort of that post Left 4 Dead space where you want to team up with your buddies and shoot a lot of things and work together and high five and douse each other with Mountain Dew or whatever, this is a really good pick. I know a lot of people will say Deep Rock Galactic, but I struggle tremendously to navigate in that game, and I do not in this game.
I would say this is more like third-person shooter Monster Hunter. To me, like it feels closer to like, especially like low-level Monster Hunter, where you're like helping your friends out and it's not too serious most of the time, as opposed to like super late game Monster Hunter, where it's like, all right, we gotta lock in super hard. Yeah, it feels a little more open, a little more loosey-goosey in that kind of way to me.
Yeah, I appreciate everything that it's like sort of doing with sort of its difficulty, and it feels like it really understands what it's trying to do. Oh yeah, get out of the way, car. Oh, what a fun game. All right, comments, questions, anything from anybody?
None. I should play more of this game.
Same.
We should hang out.
Yeah, I have been meaning to play more of this. The new update looks cool.
I didn't hear they put the third guy in.
Yeah,
I want to fight the third guy.
It was right after the Game Awards, right?
Yeah. Oh, they've got an incredible flair for this sort of stuff too. The writing inside of all the mission statements and objectives, like inside of the game, is always delivered with that over patriotic, vaguely corporate doublespeak. It feels very funny to participate in whatever you're doing in sort of the larger campaign, and their reveal at the Game Awards was actually good.
That horrific intersection of military and corporate that has no regard for human life.
Yeah. Every time, like if you spend a mission dying a lot and struggling, right? There's this guy on the ship that sort of gives you like a pithy statement about your performance, like a 007 GoldenEye post-game lobby award, or like classic Smash Brothers stuff. They'll say something like, more Helldivers than usual made the ultimate sacrifice this mission, as opposed to like, dang, y'all died a lot. It's pervasive. It's everywhere and it feels so good. It's so funny. Oh man. Oh, there's also like I know that we've been talking a little bit about how there's a lot of different ways to approach a lot of things, and this footage in particular, we eventually blotted out the sky with the smoking wreckage of these like dropships because so many of us were shooting these down together in an absolute bananas display. Yeah, there goes another one. Just piling them up. This is atypical gameplay. I don't think most people do what we're doing here, but it was very good. We had a great time. I'm still laughing about it. But if you've heard about this game and you've been on the fence, I would say grab a couple homies and grab a couple dozen bucks and like get in there. It's a lot of fun.
There's some Saints Row stuff you're doing right now.
Yeah,
it's a good time. It does get, when you have a whole group doing like disposable rocket launchers shooting down the ships coming in, kinda.
I think in this footage I'm on like my 5th missile launcher that we had just piled up for emergency situations. just heaps of the things.
All right, Voice of Dog. What's the game? What's your first game?
Bring up Visions of Mana.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say it was like, I don't know, not like my favorite of the year, but definitely something that stood out to me. I did write a thing. Hey folks, I'm the Voice of Dog. Smite invited me here to talk about some of my favorite games. And I honestly played a lot of good stuff this year, both new and old. Like I started Shin Megami Tensei 3, and that was amazing. Like I never played Nocturne before or anything in that series besides Persona 4. There was just a bunch of games that stood out to me, but I didn't see this game get a lot of attention, and that was kind of unfortunate. So here's Visions of Mana by Oka Studios, published by Square Enix. And I was really anticipating this game as a proper follow-up to the Trials of Mana remake, which, as many people know, is a remake of Seiken Densetsu 3 on the SNES. Trials was a super solid game that improved a lot of things with the original release, gave us a pretty amazing remade soundtrack, and my expectations were pretty high with Visions, and they were mostly satisfied, despite a really rocky, poorly running demo that seemed to introduce too many game mechanics at once. I think that turned a lot of people off of the game, plus like the full price tag of the game. I would say this is a really interesting single player game that you could get into now that's on a discount. Short history of the Mana series. We begin with Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy. It's actually the first Mana game. And Secret of Mana on the SNES is actually your Seiken Densetsu 2. Your Legend of Holy Sword 2, or however that gets translated. Both these games has some themes that are reoccurring in the franchise, namely duty and self-sacrifice, because you learn that the thing that sustains the world, the Mana Tree, is itself sustained by the offerings of people's souls. This has always been presented as a tragic but necessary thing in the Mana world. No one has ever gone against the grain on having to sacrifice the people you care about for the greater good until now. So I got a little excited about the game's premise because it immediately starts out with one of the offered souls trying to escape capture because they don't want to give up their lives. Finally, there's some pushback to the big sacrificial elephant in the room. There's some conflict. So the story with the intro characters ends a bit on a tragic note, and we switch over to our main character, Val, who we see here, the main character and the knight who is assigned to protect the sacrifices to the Mana Tree this time around. The sacrifices are called alms in a weird bit of terminology, and Val's not quite girlfriend is chosen to be the alm from their village, and he's really psyched about this. He's really dumb in a very kind of adorable kind of way, but he's got a lot of growing to do. So we set out on a big pilgrimage / road trip to pick up the other alms from the rest of the world and then go to the Mana Tree to drop them off. And if the alm from a village is not delivered to the tree, that village is hit with some kind of horrific curse specific to the region, which wipes it out entirely. Oh, cool. Just enough time. So let's talk gameplay. I recorded a bunch of footage of my team, which is kind of late game, fighting a bunch of random dudes that I can show off.
Mortal Plate.
What's that? Oh, the Mortal Plate. Yeah, there's some late game armor. Honestly, one thing that's kind of tough to talk about is what's going on in the fight, since the magic and special attacks are rather flashy, and they tend to overlap all the small attacks going on. This isn't a problem early game, but it ramps up over the time as you get access to things. You get 5 characters to work with, and each of them get access to 9 different classes, a base class plus 1 for each of the elements in the mana world. You got your earth, wind, wind, earth, water, fire, light, dark, moon, and wood. Each character has 3 different weapons they can use, which means 3 distinct move sets, and skills are transferable between classes. So, in short, there's a ton of mixing and matching you get to do to make the character you want to use. And I appreciate that amount of control you have over characters in this game. Is Visions a good jumping in point? I'd say there's a lot of references to old stuff, which I'll get into a little bit later, but it's definitely a fun action RPG that starts with a good tutorial, and it does tutorialize you on everything as if you haven't played a mana game before. Going back to classes, as you saw all those orb lines, each of those classes has a skill tree you can spend points on to learn either moves that transfer over or passives that apply to that class. Even more fun that every class comes with a magical girl transformation scene the first time you put it in. And I can't show you those because I've done them all, but they're great. And every time I get a new elemental relic, I was excited to try out all my new classes because they are unique to each character. That means this game has like, I'm sorry, let me do some math in my head. We got 5 characters times 8 plus 5 more. You got 45 different classes in this game. There's a lot going on. A lot of cool costumes. So not only do you have equipment, a big skill tree, abilities, and classes to juggle, you also have the elemental relics you get over the course of the game. And you get 1 for each element, and when you're holding it, you can change your class. You can use it in battle by tapping it with the tapping the R button or holding it down to charge it and do something bigger with it. This is where, in my opinion, a lot of the visual confusion of the game comes in, because when you charge it up, the whole field gets washed out with colors and visual effects. On the plus side, you get the ability to zoom instantly to enemies and whack them in the face, and that feels really great once you learn how to control that. So, just for instance, the fire one is called the Salamando Candle. It's the fire relic. If you tap R, you do this big flying uppercut towards an enemy, sending it into the sky, and if you hold down R and charge it, the whole battlefield gets set on fire, and all the enemies start taking damage over time, plus the mobility effects. So, in short, there's a lot of different strategies you can use when things get dicey. I played the game on hard mode. I had a real good time. Only one boss mid-game really forced me to nudge it back to normal, and you're allowed to do that.
Oh, you're not like married to difficulty?
Nope, not at all.
I'm so glad that's becoming more common, because there are so many games where it's like, dang, this is a really fun game with one tragically bad boss, and being able to just be like, to easy mode with you, it's easy time for you, and just make that boss easy, and then the game is smooth as butter. Oh baby,
I was so happy, and I just went right past that boss, turned it back up to hard, and had a good time.
In relation to the difficulty, when it comes to building your characters, you mentioned a whole lot of options, but how is like re-speccing? Is that a possibility, or you gotta at least kind of know what you're doing?
There's an item that does it, and I found a few of them in the game, and it allows you to respec an entire character's tree.
Oh, thank goodness.
So I think it's like something you can spend some points for, or you can spend like a rare item for, but you find you're swimming in it by endgame, so you'll be able to respec.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of like getting into builds that are not good, and then being sort of like saddled with them.
Yeah, and they kind of figured that, because you are spending points and you're not getting refunds on them. And, you know, if you're not using those passives, you're not getting benefits from them. The skills you will, because those are transferable.
Okay, cool.
Also, I just want to talk about how great the character design is in this game, because these games have always been so like rich and colorful, and this one has to look the most colorful because it's the newest and shiniest one of them all. The franchise has never looked this good in 3D, in my opinion. There's a certain level of sheen and polish to everything I don't really get tired of.
This is like, this is impressive to me. Like, as somebody who plays like Guilty Gear and stuff, and like Dragon Ball FighterZ, so I have really high standards of like anime visuals in 3D games. But like, no, this is gorgeous. This is like some Miyazaki shit. I'm into it.
Yeah, this feels therapeutic after surviving sort of like the brown, bloom, and gray like period of like the PS3 and Xbox 360. Like,
That's always a reason I like the mana games, because they always went against that grain. No matter what period they were releasing the game in, they were always colorful.
Voice of Dog, quick question. Is there a Rabbite or any Rabbite equivalents?
Oh, absolutely. Like as an enemy, absolutely.
God bless. That's
First
what I
enemy
needed to
you
hear.
find. Yeah.
Good. I was like, I need there to be a stupid little rabbit orb that looks like one of those things you bounce around on when you're a little kid. Yeah. Absolutely.
What else I got here? Oh yeah, the outfits are amazing. They're suitably dumb / amazing / looping back around to amazing again. And sometimes I'll just use classes for purely aesthetic reasons rather than strategy. There's a lot of returning mana characters and character archetypes that fans are going to enjoy, like Nicolo and the Little Cactus. Legend of Mana especially gets a bunch of representation in this game, and it kind of owns. I was not expecting all of the cameos and references I got from this game. You were saying, Wobbly?
Oh, I was gonna say that, like, RE character design. I was laughing when you first changed into that sort of like demon armor earlier in the character stat screen. But now that I see everything sort of together in the world, it just makes perfect sense.
It works.
It just looks really good all together. Beautiful.
How is the team management? Like, or is it pretty easy to get your team to do what you want them to do aside from your main character?
You know, I didn't show that off, but I really should have. But there is a screen where it's like, okay, items, magic, special attacks, limit breaks. You can set a slider on each one of these to like 20% use, like barely use them, or use them under a certain amount of MP, or, you know, it's granular. And it's pretty
nice.
good.
So like classical like Gambit programming, like
yeah,
Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, like that.
One?
Yeah, it's not maybe not as granular as that one because you can tell them exactly what to do, but you get the idea.
Yeah,
and you're also pairing that you also have like, you know, a certain amount of attacks per character. You get like 8 of them per character, so you do have a limited amount, but you change them in and out as you want. Basically find a profile that works. Oh, here's a cameo from Legend of Mana. This guy Trent. Sorry, Trent. Yeah.
It's Trent.
This guy looks over your garden in Legend of Mana while you make you grow like stuff for your monsters and such. But he shows up here, and this is just like, I just ran into this this side quest I never did. And it actually talks about some deep lore from Legend of Mana about popo bugs. There you go. There's the deep lore. One more thing. Overall, I have to say this is probably the most dense and mechanically intricate the franchise has ever been. I think this particular set of moving parts are really fun to play with. The story, for the most part, it holds up. I can't speak on the entirety of it because there's some post-game I haven't finished yet, but I really like the new cast of characters. They've got some weird quirks that kind of rise above your typical anime tropes. You've got especially Kaji Tang's character in particular. He's the cat boy who's the samurai in these situations that we've been looking at. Val is the dumbest dude I've ever seen next to Titus, which is, he makes Titus look like a genius. But they all have to grow and change throughout their journey. You know, they most importantly, as sacrifices, they're challenging the old ways. They all have to find a reason to live in spite of what their culture or religion or societal obligations have instilled in them previously.
just like Saw.
Yeah, just like Saw.
Just like Saw. Yeah. No, for real, that looks good. I'll be honest, I had like kind of written off that series after like hearing a pretty mid reception the last couple like ports and stuff, but like I'm thinking I might check this out. This looks really good.
It's 30% off right now, so it's not a full price game at the moment.
Got that Steam stuff going on right now.
Yeah. But Trials is a great starting point, honestly, if you really want to start with Mana. Trials of Mana is a pretty good game, and that's probably dirt cheap, I bet, right now.
All right.
Is it what this was Visions of Mana, right?
Visions of Mana, yeah.
Okay, Visions of Mana isn't on Game Pass, but Legends and Trials of Mana are both on Game Pass. So if you have that, those would probably be a good place to start because they're free if you have Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely give Trials a shot. Pick your 3 characters and save the world. It's fun.
All right, my next one is an XCOM like pirates called Rogue Waters. I got to try the sponsorship a little bit ago. It's pretty sick. I haven't gotten super deep into it though, but I just ran a campaign off of my current. It's a little bit like XCOM in the campaign sense. You do these like character building things, but you do them at once before you launch, and then you take your crew of 4 and you go through some sort of like adventure. It's a can you make it to the end kind of thing, and you get prizes if you do. You take all that stuff back home and you build your stuff and you get stronger. So we have a couple different classes here. I got a wrestler and a chef and a sniper.
Harken to Karu Johnny, that's a powerful name.
Yeah, you also have your ship itself has a loadout, which you use like pre-fight to weaken the enemy, and then you pick your campaign difficulty and you do your campaign.
Well, so if you're like sicko moding it, you could just like have a terrible boat that doesn't help you particularly.
There's not really a reason to do that, but there is like some choices you have to make on what kind of boat you want. I'll get to that when we get into a fight here, but we also have these like FTL choices. A wound is like for the rest of the campaign, unless I find another event to heal him. That dude now has 3 health instead of 4. So I traded that for money because I'm greedy. And here we pick our first boat. We have a really easy one on the left with like no good prize. The other ones presumably give me something better.
Okay, so this is like a Slay the Spire map, but you have like a little bit more information about the encounters than like Slay the Spire traditionally would give you.
Yeah. So here I'll pause it. We have some things going on with their crews up top, my crew's down bottom. We can shoot their crew and they can shoot mine, and we can weaken each other that way. Or I can use my cannons, and I have a specific cannon here that can only target cannons. Voice, your mic's open. The cannon breaker is good at breaking only cannons, but it does high damage at it, so I shoot theirs first. I get to go first, and we take turns. Like, I shoot first, I do what I can. If I can get rid of their cannon, they can't shoot my ship. That thing in the back on their side and the 3 flags on mine are like buffs, and I would like to destroy their buffs more than I wanted to hurt their crew. Like, I can kill their crew myself, but if their crew is getting, like, they retaliate with damage or they heal every round, that's the kind of buff you get from those, and I don't like that, so I spend my first wave trying to slow down their damage to me, and then I try to get rid of their buff, which I've done. So now I can blast them.
Would you say life is like your most precious resource in this? Because that's pretty defining in some roguelikes, right? If you have to like really defend your HP for a really long period of time.
You only lose health in like the permanent for the rest of this run sense if your guy actually dies. That's how you get wounded, so I traded 1 wound already, but as long as I don't let anyone get like completely taken out in the fight itself, should be good. Here's a new enemy I haven't even ran into yet. They're telling me about, and it's got this. I always think of Into the Breach. I love these. Here's how it works demonstrations that show up in these games now. It's really nice.
Oh, that's cool. So how important is positioning in this sort of combat?
That's always critical.
Looks really important.
There's some ropes that you can see there. You can grab those and teleport anywhere on the ship. So you have some options. Oh. And this is like melee-based XCOM. So we run up, we corner them, we push them into a wall. We get bonus damage for doing that. So I will do some of that here. These guys with 3 or 4 health. I only hit for 2, but I can do 3 or 4 damage.
I just realized you're boarding their ship.
Knocking him off is just a really easy way to get some bonus damage.
That's cool.
So this is like
pincer
a combination like Into the Breach XCOM with like a Slay the Spire layer on the top of it.
It absolutely is. Into the Breach has the same kind of shoving for sure. And this wrestler throws dudes into other dudes, so he's even more so. And the sniper should shoot anyone in the hill ship as long as she needs a turn to do it. And I have this like super move that I'm wasting. I really shouldn't, but we gotta show it off. Fuck this guy. You can use that to like punish 6 dudes, but it's really hard to get the energy. 2 times per campaign is probably all you get, so probably shouldn't use on some guy.
Let's hunt.
And the captain is like, he's like super powered, of course. He's got all kinds of buffs. He can heal people. You have equipment that you you get over the course of the run that will give you more abilities, the ability to like attack multiple times and stuff. I can make him move 1 square. I'm just showing off my nonsense here.
First you beg to stop, then you beg
No
to
problem with
finish.
this one.
Make up your mind.
I had some trouble at first with this because the way they move and attack and stuff is more like Into the Breach than XCOM. I was playing it wrong. Once I got a hold of it, I got better at it. So that is another buff. Now everyone can, on kill, they get a heal, as long as that flag is working when we do the ship fight. And my ship gets fully repaired after every fight, so they'll have to blow it up again.
Okay.
More events.
Oh, there's the map. Yeah, definitely a what you call a structure.
I got some boots that they sounded good. I couldn't actually get them to work though. I must have read them wrong or something. It says you can kick an enemy away and ignore their armor, but I never got that to actually function. But you can just pick who you want to have this and throw it on them. Everyone
And it
has
just
a
like
couple
adds
slots.
an extra move to their kit.
Yeah, and it generally is an extra, like a true extra move where they can kick and then they can do the other thing they do.
Cool.
You get into some rough situations in this game sometimes, like when you try to rob the store and you're like surrounded by the whole city and you have to run. So it can get pretty rough if you make greedy decisions or if you're just not ready for the final boss fight when you get there.
So this blowing up the enemy ship thing feels like a really elaborate like pick ban phase. And I think that's really cool.
I think that the things they're damaging, like my cannon there, do take a wound as well. Like they're gonna have 2 health next time instead of 3. So I can't just keep letting them get blown up, but there's not much you can do about it sometimes. As you get further in the game and you get better stuff, you can start with better cannons and things like that anyway.
But it's like the normal FTL attrition where like you're bleeding a little bit of fuel, a little bit of hull, a little bit of, you know, everything on the way across the whole journey.
Yeah, the journey isn't tremendously long because it's only like 1 sail at a time and then you go home. But it's like, I would say it's like 3 zones of FTL long instead of like 8. And then you go back with your guys, you take all the prizes you got. Generally, the people who survived get XP to, I don't think there's permadeath, but there's exhaustion, like, what is that, like Darkest Dungeon. There's that kind of thing where they need a break.
Have to be in the brothel for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Every fish needs a hook.
I love watching them go overboard. That feels really good.
That was funny.
These guys
also
are
the mechanic from Darkest Dungeon 2 that didn't reappear in, or Darkest Dungeon 1 that did not reappear in Darkest Dungeon 2. Can't imagine why.
These guys are, I mean, they're called bootlickers. They suck. They don't really do anything. So those dudes in the back are the snipers, and they'll blast me for 5 damage. I have to break their line of sight. But if we do not have access to our dudes, if for some reason they're too wounded to fight anymore, I have like 5 generic idiots that don't really have any skills at all. And my whole team has to be wiped out before I actually lose. Like they'll come in automatically when one of these guys goes down. You can send 9 dudes at them at once, and they all have to be beaten for you to actually lose.
I was wondering who those guys were in the in-between screen.
Yeah, they're just my losers. Yeah, you can only have 4 named dudes, and then to actually lose the campaign, you have to completely lose a round somewhere with everyone. As soon as one of them goes down, another one swoops in. You get to tell them where they start and everything. It's like they're just waiting to come on board.
You better keep your distance.
I'm trying to figure out how I can. This is a problem I always have in XCOM games. How do you close the distance between dudes who are like going to blast you? How do you get in there and actually get rid of them without getting blasted? So I have to be careful as I move forward to 2 snipers and some dude who's giving them a buff.
Don't you dare do that again.
They are aiming at somebody very specific though, so it's not so bad in this game. And I have these ropes that I think I use here. I can just warp over to them. Yeah. Because I'm next to a rope, I can just kill him. And I realized that this isn't what I wanted. It's got an undo button. I can knock him into that fire, which is funnier, so I'll do that instead.
I really appreciate when a game gives you an undo button. I have a heavy finger on the mouse, and I will commit to things just by resting my hand too hard.
I like how everyone has idle animations where they have to start poking at each other if they're close enough. It's really funny to me.
I hadn't even thought about it, but that is good. I like that a lot.
Well, it's not a thing that a lot of these games do. It's like you don't see them trading blows in like Advance Wars or Fire Emblem. Maybe not until like the most recent ones.
You know, it is. Oh man, I'm thinking about how in so many games, dudes just kind of stand there, huh?
They just kind of sit there and stare at each other until you tell them to do something.
Have I never questioned that?
I gave my captain the extremely good idea to give him this. He has a heal that I'm going to use right now because I see this guy's going to burn to death, so I don't actually need to engage with him, and that should make her survive. Hopefully.
You still got those two dudes aiming at you, right?
Yeah, I'm aiming at one of them too, so they're cooked.
Can you one-shot them?
They can't kill my wrestler because he's been armoring up and he's pretty tough. And the small damage that they take between rounds, as long as they don't go down, is irrelevant. So we're good here. Only the last HP matters. There's also a morale bar that I hardly ever see happen, but when I kill them, you see this like fear notice. They would surrender. It's always a good idea to surrender to the pirate with the kraken on his side. Got a nice purple flag. I'm sure that's nice. Anyway, yeah, that's this game. I'm working on getting further in it, but it's got a lot of exploring to do yet.
That looks like a really good time, actually. I think I'd seen that somewhere, and I have been so inundated with roguelikes, I had kind of written it off. But I might need to poke my head back in that door and see what's going on.
I've already put 10 hours into it, and I'm not really scratching the surface. It feels like I still have a lot of campaign. There's definitely a plot that I have not investigated yet.
Did you ever play Chimera Squad, the sort of XCOM sequel spin-off thing?
I don't think I have.
I did.
It was an XCOM game in which you were more transparently the aggressor to like the start of every combat, and it had like a few changes like that, and it shook up the formula in sort of similar ways that feel pretty good. So if it's anywhere near that amount of interest, like I think I could click with that. That seems really good.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Practical is right. That idle animation isn't an idle animation. It's an animation to indicate that you're in combat and you cannot run very far because they're right on top of you.
It's D&D penalties if you try and disengage when you're sword fighting someone. They get to swing at you.
Yeah,
they get to swing at you on your way out. Which, yeah, pretty good stuff for melee combat.
Yep, attack of opportunity.
What's your game?
Right.
You got another one?
I have it streamed up to you. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, as soon as I see that on screen,
it's Zero Ranger.
Again,
this is Zero Ranger. No, that's not true. It's Inkbound. Are you getting my feed?
I have a black screen.
Oh, I see. Let me fix that. Okay,
there it is.
Now are you getting footage? Okay, beautiful. Yeah, hey, this is Inkbound. If you have if you've played Monster Train, this is the same developer as Monster Train. Let me get that side feed down so I'm not as baffled. Yeah, this game is unbelievable. So it's a turn-based RP. It's like a turn-based roguelike that kind of the combat hits kind of like a Quest 64, but like really good, like tactical turn-based kind of thing. It's hard to explain. So there's a bunch of different classes you can choose from. This is a playthrough I just recorded earlier today. The class I'm playing has 3 abilities that are pretty straightforward. It's move my orb, make my orb do a pulse, and then make my orb explode big style. And those are my 3 moves up front. This character is unbelievable. I think they're very, very cheap. Yeah, it's very Transistor like. I think that's the other way to put it. So here's the first major element. You have a ton of trinkets and artifacts for building over the course of a run. So all of these give the thing that they say directly on the tin. Like one of them gives me a ton of extra movement on turn one makes my critical hits do more damage, one like gives me extra survivability. You can re-roll them, which we're going to. I didn't manage to get what I was pulling for. I'm trying to do a smite based run because, you know, I thought it'd be fun. Smite, you know, whatever. So you get your branching choices, same as you would in, you know, Slay the Spy or something along those lines. The one thing to know up front, the difficulty between normal encounters and hard encounters is very meaningful in this game. All right, so right away we get into an encounter. You can see that big blue circle on the ground. That's the extent of movement my character has. I can move as far as I want in there before locking it in action, and there's no real penalty for it, right? But if I move and then do something, it spends that movement, and then I get a, you know, much smaller circle afterwards. So first I'm checking to see if I can hit anything with where my orb currently is. You can kind of see how the orb gets smaller to show you, like, if I did something here, here's how much movement I would have left over. Like, if that makes sense.
That's neat. That's really intuitive. I like that.
Yeah. You also can see what enemies are targeting you and what they're doing. Right now I have two just pointing straight at me, which means no matter what I'm doing, they're just going to come run me down and stab me. There's also a little ball on the top of the screen. That is a power orb. You naturally get one per turn. It gives you one action point back. At the bottom of the screen, you got the red bar, that's HP. Blue one, that's just like how many actions you have. So you kind of work around through your options. I'm like scooting the orb around, trying to blow guys up over the course of the run while using as much as possible. So it's kind of got some elements of rotating abilities, trying to figure out like optimizing all your stuff, seeing if you can avoid taking damage. Yeah, so also your abilities have cooldowns. Picking up the orbs reduces your cooldown. First encounters are going to be pretty straightforward, and then you get your normal like splay of rewards. The big ones up front are bindings. These are extra moves. You get 2 per run. The first one I got just gives me a stack of being able to smite enemies once per turn, which is just a fancy type of damage.
This card art is really cute.
This game's art and music is so good. Just like Monster Train, it's like way better than you'd expect. It's so easy to just like zone out and kind of sink into the world of this game. It's really, really well put together. Okay, so the thing I want to highlight here, on items, you can see underneath like Pulsar Belt, there's 2 little icons. Those are the set bonuses for the items. Set bonuses are huge in this game. They're a really major mechanic. They're super important. The one under Pulsar Belt is Storm King. It just buffs all your smite damage, but a mechanic will come up later that you'll be like, oh, okay, that's sick. And by later, I mean, yeah, later. Okay, I didn't take it now.
Fish.
And yeah, every ability has 3 slots for upgrades. And yeah, you do builds over the course of it. The game also keeps track of what you have taken and what you haven't. There's 10 trillion unlockables in this game. Like, over the course of a run, a lot of times the decision I make on what power-ups I'm gonna pick or what items is just like, have I used this before? Have I won a run with this? And immediately the value just starts rolling in for building towards the smite damage. But yeah, let me go ahead a little bit farther. Don't have a preview, sadly. So this is the thing I wanted to talk about. So they added in a thing called the It's called the Dick Smasher. It's called the Dick Smasher that you put your trinkets in. It smashes your trinkets. It's the Vestige Extractor, but it's the Dick Smasher. So the thing is, you have a limited number of slots for relics that you can take, but in exchange, what they give you is a place where you can take one of them and you get rid of it. So you do lose like the relic, but in exchange, you get twice its set bonus back. So in this case, I get rid of something that's like explicitly quite good to throw in this machine. It gives you, where is it at? I think I'll get to it after this one. Yeah. So this gives me like 2 levels of Starwalker and 2 levels of Inventor. And both of those just have a really good effect at level 2. So I get rid of this thing that I'm not using too much of, and I permanently just have that set bonus forever, which is really, really nice and adds up over the course of a run like pretty quickly. It's a great way to have this stuff like cycle in, cycle out, without being too much of a pain in the butt. Yeah. Ahead a little bit here. Bosses are pretty darn elaborate in this game. This one in particular has a phase transition in the middle. If you haven't taken care of the guys on the outside, they just like all turn on at once and turn on you, and it's quite bad. The ability I got on the second one is just a teleport. The teleport goes absolutely nuts if you do it, if you get like abilities to it, like reducing cooldowns of other abilities, giving critical hits to other abilities, that type of thing. It's a game of a lot of optimizing movement in very small ways. A lot of the relics are very interesting in how you mix up your builds, what you can do with them, what kind of stuff you go for. Obviously I'm playing the class here that is all about moving my orb around and doing orb stuff. For example, you can see whenever I move the orb around, I'm trying to get in the way of it. This character just gets a shield if you hit yourself with the orb on the way to it doing other stuff. So like there's a lot of little micro movement optimization, like positioning optimization. Super satisfying, super fun to do. After major bosses, you get a bunch of level ups, a bunch of equipment, full heal, all that, and an ability upgrade. And these are the ones that are really neat. So it changes your abilities pretty dramatically, gives them just like a huge kick. The other thing I wanted to highlight is, so above the name of Blast and Flash, you see that kind of like little like cone indicator, that little like pointer pointing down.
Yeah, the party cone.
Yeah, that is indicating you have never picked this before, which is unbelievably good if you're trying to just have gotten everything.
Yeah, it's a monster train thing too.
It sure is, and it's so good. Yeah, so that element is huge. The quality of life stuff in this game across the board is just phenomenal. It just feels great to play. Every part of the experience is super seamless. This game had a pretty long early access period, and they used it really well. It is like the way I would describe the game feel. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to super highlight.
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
I have pulled open the Steam store page on the side here, and I like to game very socially. It says online co-op. How does that work?
Yeah, so we were gonna get there eventually. Yeah, so this game plays unbelievably well single player, and I think it's like a cool kind of, once you get a good feel for how to play each archetype of character, you can kind of zone out a little bit and just like smoothly roll through it once you get a feel for it. Kind of Monster Train-y in that way. It makes sense that the Monster Train devs did it. Multiplayer is a fascinating and different beast. So it is still turn-based. It's just everybody does their turn at the same time. By the way, our build has started getting pretty stupid at this point. This is notably farther into the run. Started doing a bunch of stuff where essentially I would smite enemies, which would give me a crit charge, which whenever I would crit somebody, it would smite them, which would then give me a crit charge, which is why I point this orb gently to the side. And then all of them pop like a balloon with lightning bolts. So you get to do this stuff, which is very satisfying. I just wanted to highlight the build. When you get a build that's going crazy, it feels so good, which I think is really important in this kind of game. Like when the baloney's good, the baloney gotta be good. But yeah, the simultaneous turns get really interesting because there are a few. First of all, the game scales up difficulty really well. Multiplayer is hard. It does manage to be hard. It's not like you just get to blow the game out by having, you and a couple buds. The thing about having all your turns at the same time is there are some enemies that will change their targeting based on who hit them last, or if you kill a small enemy, they will turn and point at you, which can be really dangerous if like someone has locked in all their movement, spent all their movement, and doesn't have like a lot of shielding or something, and then you tap them in a way that makes everybody point their gun at them. It's like, uh-oh. So have to be careful with that. There's a ton of really cool like buff builds you can do so stuff that says ally in this game will always affect yourself as well. So it's always good in single player. But there are a lot of things you can do that are like huge, like for your whole team buffs constantly. The final character you unlock is insane with a full party because he's just constantly giving everybody buffs like nonstop. So there's a lot of different layers that go on with characters too, as far as like how they play in co-op versus how they play in single player. But it's really fun. It's really good. I've been playing a bunch of it with like CoBuddy and Minimat. It's been super sick.
These UI optimizations are absolutely monster train. I definitely like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to realize what oh, right. I've gotten to the point where my orb just shoots a laser. But yeah, it's a game about getting your builds out of control, having a lot of really wild stuff going on. There is a lot of story element in the background. I haven't been super duper engaged with it all told, but I've enjoyed what I have engaged with. It's been nice. The voice acting is pretty darn solid. I love the art. The quests in this game are very like MMO progression-y kind of quests. There's a lot of them. They want you to do a lot of runs in a lot of wild ways, but I will say I've enjoyed all of them, even the ones where they're like, okay, this run you have to have, one arm tied behind your back in kind of a goofy way. I've still liked it. And yeah, here's some examples of like later game items you can find and how wild they get. So like this one's whenever any of your things get a critical charge available, you get like part of an action point back. This one is just on turn start, everyone gets hit by a lightning bolt for free, stuff like that. Yeah, this game's great. If you like that kind of like small movement, very distance-based RPG gameplay, I think it's a fantastic one. The roguelike elements are really good. If you want a game to kind of do like fast tabletop gaming with some friends, it's a great way to do that. Yeah, I just really like this game. I think if you like Monster Train, maybe check this out because it's by the same devs, and I think there's a lot of through lines that you can feel between like the philosophies of design between both games.
I have a question. Up in the top left corner, you have this sort of like budget Yakuza guile.
The sad guile that I made for my avatar. Yeah. So
what was that?
you get to make like a little guy. And they're kind of like little ink blot guys is the thing. And I just used the many myriad of wonderful tools they gave me and gave artists to work with to make a beautiful display on their wonderful canvas. And I made a shitty sad guile. Thank you for noticing.
I was wondering, I wasn't gonna ask, but thank you.
I needed to know if this was like a Gaia Online type situation where you got to like make a whole little guy and
Yeah, you
What
get to
am I
make a little guy.
registering
You unlock a lot of cosmetics. Currently, the hat my guy is wearing, which I can show here a little better, is one of the imps from Monster Train. That's just a cosmetic I unlocked. Mini Matt wears a little gnome hat all the time, and it pisses Doc off so much. It's awesome.
Like
But
a little pointy red hat.
Oh yeah, like a full looking gnome. Yeah, unbelievable stuff. But yeah, this is Inkbound. You should maybe consider checking it out. It's a pretty cool game. It's a lot of fun to play alone, fun to play with friends. It's good.
This does look pretty up my alley. This is kind of explicitly what I've been looking for in sort of like an RPG thing, something where I'm not married to a billion-hour experience.
The thing I love about it too, it really hits single player and multiplayer feel like two separate but related games, but both are awesome, and I love both of them.
That's rad. I'm so glad that somebody is like nailing that. Okay, I love that little siren thing in the card art seems to be some sort of yelling duck. Man, there's a lot going on here that I'm just enjoying as it washes over me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I will cede the floor. Yeah.
Thank you. Bobby, what you got next?
So I instead of bringing like, one of my favorite things, Helldivers 2 being something that has consumed me, I wanted to show the floor to a game that I think is still in early access, and is doing some interesting stuff. It's a game called Eye of the Commando. It was brought to me by a game developer friend of a game developer friend. And it is a turn-based dungeon crawling shmup.
Wow.
So this is visually a love letter to DOS games that you would get on those like million CD things.
Hell yes.
With some Genesis ass synths.
Yes.
It has a collection of little classes. All of them are very... Again, this is another game that just has some like really drippingly funny writing. I believe that in the opening cutscenes where the tutorial is sort of talking at us, they remark upon the fact that you can only turn in one of 90-degree increments. There'll be no war crimes from our side this conflict. And other such wonderful sort of phrases. I did not set this, by the way. I left this in and just made the whole... this was the moment I decided I wasn't editing anything, because like I did not give him a pink pompadour. That is not a thing I did on purpose. I just got it rolled. It was great.
That's fate. You have to take that.
Yeah, that's destiny right there. So the plot is you are some kind of commando. You are assaulting this island in a shirtless one-man show of comedy, machismo, and cunning. The screen is where you can click to shoot things, sort of Duck Hunt style. You can see that I'm strafing, and turning is a time-consuming and deliberate decision to make. And there are a lot of those to go. I play this pretty fast because it is a game that you can sort of chunk out that way. It does have a save system, but you can also play it in kind of a roguelike-y way, picking up items and assaulting bases. I believe that when I did speak to the developer, they said that these stages are bespoke. I don't think that anything in here is proc gen, but I would love to play a randomizer. I think that this game would lend itself to it pretty well. Here I am doing my first shooting. You just click on the screen, and immediately they throw you into it. You can see the bullets are hanging in the air. I'm getting a little moment to make decisions.
A little super hot going on here.
Yeah. Turn-based pixel art super hot is pretty good. That's a good summary, I think. There's little mechanics. If you're shooting a guy around a corner, they'll get a bit of a defensive bonus, and you can also benefit from that. They do nice little quality of life things, like if you mouse over yourself, you'll translucent.
It's like turn-based Akari Warriors. What? All right. I mean, like, sick, but like, what?
I have to question the thought process that led to this, but it's pretty neat, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, I don't know what they were cooking, but like, good on them.
Yeah, it gets wilder too. You know, there's sort of a lot of the tropes that are bespoke to these things. There's guys that like throw grenades and missiles, and you'll get like a super weapon here in a little bit. We'll pull that up. Distance is occasionally long, occasionally short. It feels a little ambiguous sometimes, but it never feels particularly unfair unless you really have done it to yourself, honestly. Yeah. There's secret walls, there's secret stuff, there's chests to pop open like this. It's really a labor of love. I don't know what they were loving particularly, but like I'm glad that they did. This game rips in a lot of different ways. Oh God. Somebody in chat has noticed it, and I had actually completely forgotten. I'd become desensitized. Every time you shoot, you jiggle. Because you're caked up, and that was a conscious decision that they made apparently at one point.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Here we go. Busting out the flamethrower.
Oh shit. It's awesome.
It's really good. I would love to see, you know, more levels and things come down the pipe. It's a bit limited. I think they're asking $13 for it on a little bit of a sale right now. But I think that this is an example of... Oh, so this is the moment where I realized I turned the wrong way. And I was trying to figure out like what I could do other than just turn around, and then I just decided to turn around. It has a little equip system. Things are color ranked. Later on, you can sort of transmute them. We won't get to it in this run. It's pretty late game. But this game is really cute, really charming. I think it's a good example of taking a new idea and letting it just sort of do its own thing. Once again, I've realized I've been flanked.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out how to handle this.
Oh, he seemed to step in front of you. That was helpful.
Yeah, he really bonered that one. If you want to jump like 5 minutes ahead, I think I wander around here in sort of the tutorial zone for a little bit. Too long, particularly. Yeah, here we go. You're in my finest evil helicopter. This guy is going to kick your ass.
Damage zone.
Yeah,
This is cool.
Got damage zones.
Final
Midway
Fantasy
through the boss fight, he's got a
14.
phase 2. Also, the erupting volcano skybox in the background is, I think, really fun. Yeah, the helicopter is named Terror Wolf and looks a little like a skull. For an intro boss, I think it's good.
When you said DOS game, my expectations were set a little low, I have to admit.
I feel like aside from the 3D environment, if it was like a more of a what was it, Ken's Labyrinth type thing, I think that this could probably have like existed in a DOS format and just nobody thought to do it. It oozes style though. Just look at this card art.
They even like
great.
chose the flat background color of like to evoke the bad dude's energy, I think.
Look at this.
It's super
He's
good.
like Punch Tanaka turning to the side, but he looks like he's breaking his neck while doing it.
Yeah, Control gives you little tutorials every time something shows up, and they're generally pretty good about mechanics. And coming up next, we're going to see some things that are really fun. Or at least like really help add to the formula that sort of begin in your first real stage here. So this is the shop. You go into the shop, and this is a photo of a guy that I know. Just like very, very passively. I don't like know them IRL, but like I found out the lore on this and I was like, oh, hey, small world, huh? But there's all sorts of equipment and upgrades. And I think I bought that little rainbow cable thing. Yeah. So this thing modifies your shot so that it will deal damage to the spaces immediately left and right of your target. So like if these two dudes were to get next to each other, you would be able to deal attacks to both of them at the same time. And there's lots of these builds. Later on, we're going to find a little piece where if I shoot 3 times in a row without taking other actions, we end up dealing additional damage. So there's like park and bark, there's area denial and management. There's all sorts of interesting little add-ons. As you can see by a bunch of these enemies here, they're really willing to sort of play with the sort of Saturday morning action hour villains that you would expect from a cartoon that I think is really good. And I'm gonna spoil a thing. And anybody who's like already into it, I would urge you to like briefly close your ears for like the next 2 minutes or so. Go to the Steam page, buy it. It's like $15, you know, spend your Christmas money here. I was going through my first playthrough, and I found an item. Oh yeah, I'm backed into a corner in a bad way. And it has different damage types, right? And you would expect them to be things like, what, bullet, explosion, you know, whatever else. One of them is ninja. They just deal ninja damage.
Yeah, it's a type of damage.
Yeah, it's awesome. You can get resistances specifically to ninja damage.
You got Commando, Soldier, Cleric, Mage, Ninja, Samurai, Pressure Cooker.
Yeah, it's
all the
slaps.
classics.
The guy making this is just really funny. It seems like a really good time. They were very nice when they showed up to my chat when I was streaming it. So I just wanted to like kind of put this one on people's radar. I'm being shot at. I better not pick up the toy. Let's see. At some point, I knock down a secret wall. I've been waiting for it to happen, but I didn't like timestamp the video. It was 2 a.m. when I was recording this.
What a nice mini map. He cut up there.
Yeah, they're
pretty
very
good.
nice about a lot of quality of life features. There's not a lot in this game that I felt was particularly rude or unfair or just like poorly implemented, where you get like kind of baffled and confused and you've made a bunch of choices on bad information, you know, that kind of thing. I will open the floor to questions.
About how long is it? Did you say?
I played cover to cover with one character in an extended sitting, you know, like anywhere between like probably 3 to 6 hours, I think.
Okay.
And it's in early access. They're still adding more.
Still adding content, I bet.
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't been following it super close. Things have been kind of... There it is. There's a secret wall. There, finally. It had a sign. You're not allowed to go there. Super weapons get wild. You're not stuck with that flamethrower. There's missile launchers and big machine guns, and I'm sure some kind of like ocular laser.
Turning does seem to take an action turn, right?
It does. There's in fact an item later that makes it not take an action, and it is a game changer.
What if I could turn around and not turn 180 degrees and not have it count?
He's so
that
fast.
sounds broken. Doing anything in stop time is broken.
If I was thinking harder, I would take a lot less damage, but I wanted to make sure that this video like moved while I was talking about the game. I'm totally down with, you know, taking a little bit of damage for the camera. You could play it really safe. You could avoid all damage if you were incredibly smart about it. The boss at the end of this stage is really a lot. If you want to jump ahead like a few minutes towards sort of the end of that, we'll show it off. Yeah. This is sort of like the back rooms. This is me fussing around, picking up a couple of weapon pickups, secret areas.
This looks like Caction.
Yeah, here we go. There we go. So you gotta, of course, kill the big skull at the end of the hallway, full of infinitely respawning dudes. You can also close the gateways for the infinitely respawning dudes, but I didn't feel like I could reach it for some reason, so I decided to charge the net. And you can see how quickly a bad decision can go sideways in this game if you let it.
Oops.
Yeah, that turn sideways was unintentional. Yeah, miss. That's too far away. Dodged a shot. Got a special don't get blasted thing. I realized that it's all about the tile, so I just kind of walked into it. It didn't hurt me. The guy shooting me in the face did.
You look like you're about to die in 6 different ways.
Yeah, that's because I am. This situation did not pan out for old Wobbles.
Oh, man.
Oh no! Killing one guy out of the 16 didn't solve it.
No! My problem-solving skills.
That game looks really cool.
It's rad. It's oozing style. It's tons of fun. The soundtrack absolutely rips. Strong recommend. It's a good time if you like that sort of thing.
Thank you. Voice of Dog, what you got? Got another one, right?
Yeah, I got one more. Honestly, my favorite game of the year, the game that has occupied my brain for months since I played it this summer. It's Anthology of the Killer by the Catamites.
Yo,
I was worried
this
if
game rules.
I was so worried when I didn't bring it. I'm like, oh fuck, I want to talk about that game, but I didn't bring that game. Fuck, I fucked up. But
I was worried you might.
the homie Voice of Dog got my back.
I was worried we might have some overlap, so I think everything worked out.
Yeah.
You all know of Philip's journey through the world of Space Funeral, his adventures with Leghorse, smoking weed with Dracula. You all love that shit. Let me tell you about the new shit you're gonna love. Let me tell you about the story of BB, a college student who just wants to write her damn zine about weird stuff happening in town. Unfortunately, she is consistently running into serial killers and maniacs, including one tall man with a red mask and a long black coat. This is Anthology of the Killer, a series of 9 progressively ambitious stories. And in these stories, BB will engage with a variety of concepts and schools of thought, all regarding society's collective fascination with murder. From the mundane excitement of working in a spooky call center to infiltrating the dark secrets of classical art and theater scenes to becoming a local rock star in your sleep, a lot of weird things happen in Anthology. I want to make clear right now, this is the gameplay of the entire game. It's not always first person, but it consists of walking down hallways and reading dialogue. So if you had to be a pedantic nerd and boil it down to its elements, you'd call it a walking simulator. I don't care about that. It's got the most fun and unique visual design I've seen in a long time. And it's... Go ahead, yeah.
Hey, if you were gonna take this game and reduce it and like be pedantic and call it a walking simulator, please chiropractor yourself on some stairs and fix yourself, buddy. This game rules. It's really fun.
Yeah, there's a lot to look into with this game.
God dang. Fury.
Also, like, the creator of this game, the Catamites, is like an expert in creating the weirdest, wildest environments that you just feel dragged along by a string. That is just the universal pull of desire to see more. Like, I gotta know what's next. Everything is so weird but poignant here.
Yeah. So also, I got to talk about the writing of this game. It is the funniest, the most hard-hitting, tongue-in-cheek shit since I played Lisa for the first time a decade ago. Like, I can't get over how funny this game is. And I think, honestly, the optimal experience of this game is to, like, play it blind and act it out with your friends. Like, because I had so much fun doing that and inflicting that on several people this year.
Yeah, I got to be one of those. This game is captivating. It's so good. It is a party.
Let's take a look at some pieces of BB's adventures, because I don't want to spoil too much, right? We're going to take a look at the intro of Blood of the Killer. You saw the hub world. That's that art installation that you wander around. You experience the chapters of BB's story by walking through the exhibits. Now, I do like that you can do them out of order, I kind of recommend that you do. It feels like each chapter is a little more ambitious and realized than the one before it. Each chapter has its own room in the exhibition hall, fancy poster next to each entrance. They really set the mood for each one, and the art is just great. While we're watching this, I would like to invite Wobbly and Ty to heap praise upon this game if they have not already.
This game is like outrageously funny. It's funny in it has the whole makes you laugh and makes you think thing. There's a moment in this game where you're about to be murdered by someone, and then another guy comes out and kills that guy and says, "Don't panic, I'm a murderer," and you're just like, this game owns. I love this.
Don't worry, Ty, we're there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do believe I recognize this fellow.
This let me just say the setup for this story is that we're investigating a zine deal gone wrong in a remote town. So we're not in the usual city, and we go to meet our contact, but her apartment's burned down, and then we meet this guy.
No one bought our zine. Don't worry, I'm a murderer.
I'm a murderer.
Oh yeah.
Character of the year right here.
Oh my god.
Like I'll stand up and cheer every time this guy comes on screen. He's great.
Absolutely. I adore. This is the sort of thing that this game. So the madness of this world is that like you have to take this stuff at face value, because that is the kind of crazy times that BB is existing through, and is sort of musing about the absurdity of like, in this situation, BB is the weirdo, is what you have to understand about this game.
Yeah.
The don't worry, I'm a murderer guy. Yo, that's John Q basic on the street. He is a regular man.
That is a regular dude who is about to be murdered.
Yeah.
One of the stories is you dealing with the fallout of a guy who was like a major musical artist focused largely on death and being a killer and being sad about it, kind of becoming blasé and falling out of fashion, which is like, yeah, insane to think about, but it's just this beautiful end state. Oh man, capitalism, huh?
I wanted to show, I am showing off a few pieces of drool, not the whole thing, obviously, but just enough to get a taste of the drool, so to speak.
This was, I think, my favorite personally. Of all of the different episodes.
This is the third chapter. They're all mostly standalone stories except for the last one. But this one feels like the most standalone because it doesn't really seem to hone in on any particular aspect of society other than, I don't know, water parks maybe.
Yeah.
But in this one, BB decides to get on a strange bus that she sees in town, because why the fuck not?
There's maybe some things to be said about if you've ever lived in a town that has sort of like an amusement park that is only ever really for tourists, right? But like for the rest of the year, it just kind of sits idle. Like maybe I might be revealing about myself through this line of dialogue. And like wondering about like, who's that really for? Like, how does that work? Have you ever considered checking it out and like all of the weird things that sort of might exist for and do and be? Mm-hmm. And this game just asks those questions and kind of asks you to kind of think about your own weird, messed up childhood. Because like, I don't care how normal you were, there was some weird stuff in there. Weird stuff happens to everybody.
I think a thing that's like really important to highlight too is BB is really relatable and funny, and not in like an annoying, overly written, like witty way.
God, yeah.
Like BB's like kind of resigned to the universe they're part of, but they're like charming and funny, and they're trying to be positive through this. Like they're just trying to make it happen. They're just trying to survive and make a goddamn zine. And sometimes people be making it so freaking hard. You know, it just wants to have a normal one.
BB is written like I feel when I get into a conversation with people who live their entire artistic experience through the lens of sports media. Right? Like, you know, I'm just like, oh, hey, you know, you guys ever play Halo? And they're like immediately, yeah, that John guy sure could throw a pigskin, don't you think? Robot arms, huh? And I'm just like, sure, maybe. And that's just the whole experience of being BB in a tiny little nutshell. It feels great.
It is roll with the punches times 1,000. Speaking of which, Tammy is here.
Oh, Tammy is here. Tammy's approaching.
This whole thing turns into like the Hell water park where you get stalked by a water spirit, and you don't know what time or day it is because you're in the you're in the tubes and the bath and you don't know where you are anymore.
And then you learn the story of the water spirit, and it's economy 2.
And you get chased around a whole bunch.
So I gotta say also, you know, people aren't playing this right now, despite this, you know, being the gameplay. Trying to read all of this sort of very verbose text while Tammy is approaching rapidly is its own type of like exciting stress. It's really wild how like, you know, squeaking and squonking you'll get while you're playing this. It's a real fun time.
And yeah, great classic dynamic here of Tammy saying all this like classic horror monster shit of just like, you're gonna become one with Tammy, it's gonna be great there. And BB being like, yeah, Tammy, great point, love that for you, babe. It's just like running away as fast as she can.
Sorry, I can't die today. I'm allergic to mortuaries.
I leave you all with the all-important coining of a new term. Will BB escape the water park? Will she escape? You'll have to find out yourself. $7 on Steam, motherfucker. 6 on itch.io. Probably should do it there. Please buy it. It's so good. I love it.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
Chat seems active. I should clip the word swimbification.
There's like the thing too is like every chapter could be someone's favorite, and I would totally get it. Like the chapter about the nightmare of being market research, whether you like it or not, is that one hit me like a goddamn truck, but it was so funny.
I think anyone looking for a subversive and macabre comedy, anyone genuinely looking to laugh like they haven't in a long time, and to really think about how much blood is inside a person, I mean really think about it. This is my favorite The Catamites work to date, so I implore you to support the dev.
Man, not to link our games or like get our interest too tight here, but like I feel like BB could exist inside of the Helldivers universe. Right, it's the same type of madness. It feels like
stirring stuff from Super Earth.
Yeah, boy, I sure love being told who I'm allowed to vote for.
Wow, terror's beyond my entire comprehension. Well, anyway, I gotta take a shit.
I'm being hunted for posting my subversive zines. Would you like one?
I think I saw Author Blues playing that. Maybe a little while
Was
ago.
he playing it? Was he playing Anthology?
I think that's who I saw. I've seen that game.
He was playing
before.
Anthology of the Golden Idol, I believe, which is a different game.
God, Oth would love Anthology of the Killer, though, now that I'm thinking about it. We should hit him with that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, BB's super relatable. Also, BB gets fed up with it at good times.
He does.
Like there are moments where BB's just like, enough. This is dumb. And it's always good.
Yeah, BB is like a participant in the world is a thing that I feel is kind of unique about this game too.
Yeah.
There's so many games, you know, where it's like, oh, the world is mad and I don't know how to deal with it. BB absolutely knows how to deal with the crazy world that they're living in and will occasionally meet it on its own terms, which is delightful when it happens.
They're just so sick of it. It's so good.
They're so over it. They just want to pay their rent. Is that so hard?
Welcome to the arts economy.
All right, I got one more for you here. This is my indie shmup game. All right, here we go. Astro Lancer.
Oh, what?
If you've played Guardian Legend on the NES, that's what we got going on here. More or less. It's got some really neat ideas, though, including, you know, strafing. Guardian Legend ain't got that. It's just...
I was gonna say it looks a little bit like Guardian Legend.
It does
like
the thing
it when a
that
game modernizes.
it does where you have like this overhead walking around shooting, and then you switch to shmup mode later. So first we're gonna pick our weapons for, we get one special weapon that uses the energy on the right. We have our main gun, and then we have a thrust that gives us iframes, and we can run through enemies when that's on, and that charges up automatically.
Ooh.
So we get a bunch of cool sub-weapons, but currently we only have this little sword. It's pretty strong, but even in the course of just my playing here for a couple minutes, I will find some options. This is a walk around looking for secrets, get to the boss kind of area. We have energy that fills up our sub-weapon that drops all the time. Killing the enemies is sort of optional, kind of. But that energy right there is the sub-weapon.
I'm sorry, the Steam page mentions apparently that a certain NES game is an inspiration, yes.
Yeah.
I wonder.
The move speed looks really satisfying in this.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like outlier fast in a way that I'm so into. Like, so many games of this type, your character moves so slow or mid, and this game, I'm like, damn, that kid's schmoving. Like, we're going places.
That was the thrust right there. So, that store had an option for a free item. Here's a secret too. I chose basically the XP point at the end of the stage you can use to level up your character permanently if you beat the stage. So here's another one. You know, you can just grab a bunch of those. You could speed run through the stage and not get those and not get any upgrades for all your work, or you could, you know, grind them all out, find them. You get some really nice stuff like more thrust, longer iframe time, more damage. Shields, all kinds of crazy regens. But
A lot of room for upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, there is. The checkpoint
is it
thing
like
refills everything.
Linear campaign, like some kind of roguelike, or
It's linear, I think, and like this secret right here is, I think, always openable this way. So I can pick my next sub weapon here. I took the laser. It's very expensive. It's very nice though. I enjoy this thing.
Oh, beam.
You will never regret having a laser beam. Yeah, that looks fun.
When it's not
Ooh, and you can wipe them with it. You can like fire the laser beam and then do a little strafe-a-roo. Let's go.
when it's not subject to like,
That's
you
good
know,
tech.
frame rate bullshit like in Contra or Life Force.
I love this gun. There's a lot of destructibles that you can blow up to get your energy back, like all these things right here. Because we're about to hit a mini boss, so they want me to have my laser up. There's also, like, you can shoot the terrain and here, like a fake wall, and bust through it with your sword. This game this is only on, like, normal difficulty, just because I didn't want to eat shit too much during this, but it actually is pretty rough on super hard mode, especially the shmup part, which we are not currently at. We're getting there.
I was gonna say, you gotta transform into a ship.
Yeah, so basically once we take the boss out, it runs away and we chase it.
Is that like the gameplay loop, or is that just like this situation?
That's what it does. That's the gameplay loop. So every stage is going to have this, and then whatever guns you found you have, it's gonna be my laser. And whatever upgrades I have for the whole campaign keep on working during shmup mode too. Like, both game types work with it.
Are you incentivized to like go quickly or get every enemy, or is there like any like kind of optimal way to play presented like by score and stuff?
I feel like your optimal play would probably be to look around like a la Isaac, where you're trying to find all the little caves, but that's how I
All the
was playing
secret
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you could speedrun it to your, detriment and not have any upgrades.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, are there any bonuses for going fast or for clearing out every enemy, or not? Not particularly. It's more about exploration.
If there are, I didn't get them, but I'm pretty slow. There might be, because they come in the form of these XP crystal things that it says EC down bottom left. I found 3 of them. Here's number 4. An upgrade in this game costs 3 or 4 of those, so I only have one coming to me as it is. But I have a whole lot to choose from.
I just did a cursory Google for the Astro Lancer speedrun record, and I got nothing. I got no hits back. So it seems like this would be a fun game to do that in.
It's half shmup, so that part's gonna be consistent, more or less, except for how fast you can, blow off the boss. But this part certainly can be timed down. I think I died here. I think I overestimated my ability to dodge. I have an iframe button I'm not using. It also does damage. I should really, like that, ram into him with it. But later on in my longer game of this, I had a whole bunch of thrusts. I could iframe for like 5 seconds, and it was awesome. I was just jetting around the whole time, and it regened really fast too. I had vampirism, I think.
Do you get any upgrades or like points or anything during the shmup sections? Like, because the thing is, right, like even if you can't optimize time on a shmup, a lot of times you can optimize like score, like number of hits, stuff like that. So like maybe there's like points you could get to speed up the other parts of the run there.
I don't remember. That might be a mechanic. I think we'll see, because I definitely beat the shmup part in this too, and it doesn't take very long. Like 10 minutes was how long it took to do it, even with my crappy death there. But I only had enough for one upgrade at the end of the stage, finding all the things that I remembered. Oh, we get to change our gun too before we go in, so I thought I should do that.
Thank goodness.
I personally like the Buster a lot. It does tremendous damage, and we can switch back and forth.
Mega Man Shuffler expert likes Buster. News 11.
I just like, because you're not always lined up to shoot them, so when you go in, you get that big damage, and you don't have to tap the button. Love it.
It's the best weapon in Cuphead.
It's true. For the same reason, I think. The bosses are hard to hit sometimes, so you get this huge damage chunk during your small window. And killing these little fellas in one shot is really nice. Keeps them from being so annoying. They heal you a lot during this too, but if you're feeling bored with this, the difficulty shoots up big time when you switch that button on, because this is like, it's not baby mode, it's the next step up from baby mode. It's like toddler mode. It's just so much harder on impossible.
I am looking at this and being a little intimidated, but like this.
How
does
many
feel
hits can you take? Because like the reason bullet hells and shmups are like really stressful in this is like you can take no hits, right? Like that's the thing that makes them so messed up. But it seems like you can take a good number of hits in this without it being too big of a detriment.
You can take 4 or 5 with the current. You can level up your HP too, get some more.
Yeah.
The number of bullets is definitely one of the big impossible changes. Type of enemies.
This Buster has the same sound as something from a compile game.
My health is the one on the left, so I got hit twice. That's the chunk.
Oh.
More charge.
There's the big fairy that has all the shots in it.
They give you a nice big heal for the cube.
I like this boss's design too. It's just kind of a cool big robot skull head. We need more of that sort of thing in modern games.
Also, everything it's doing is in threes.
Yeah, I would presume the hitbox on the ship is probably, there's like a little circle symbol on the middle of it, and it's probably just literally that. That's usually what modern games do, is they'll put a circle on your ship, and that's the part that can actually get hit. The rest bullets will just phase through.
Yeah, that feels great.
Alert.
I love a good
Zero
shmup
Ranger
where I'm
is
not the
like
whole
the
ship.
orange cockpit, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. What's your hitbox on the ship?
It's tiny. I don't know how tiny. I think it is that circle.
Is it that circle? Yeah.
I would bet, yeah.
Here's our level up screen. And I didn't see anything. I have 5, so I must have earned something during the shmup. But you have a lot of interesting stuff in here. One of which is like your iframe dash explodes too. It's just a lot of enhancements for that particular mechanic if you really like running through enemies. I think you can really just make it like your main weapon almost. But that's Astro Lancer.
That's cool.
Big.
That's very charming.
Guardian Legend is not my favorite NES game. I like the concept. I like it being done well.
Cool concept. Not all the way there, in my opinion.
I started pulling up everything like up on Steam just to take a look at it, and this is apparently also like $4
Oh, that's right. That's a couple
on
bucks.
Steam. It's on sale.
You got one TieTuesday? You got any more? I think you got one more, right?
I do. I'm sorry, I'm trying to switch over to get the feed to make sure stuff is up correctly. And yeah, stream should be good to go. Yeah, I'm TieTuesday, and this shit's called Armed Police Batrider, and it's so good. This playthrough is by Pearl, another member of the shooting game community. Again, awesome people, helped me learn games, helped me get good at this. I'm going to start with the sale of Batrider, and then I'm going to talk about reasons you shouldn't play Batrider. And then if you still want to play Batrider through those, then you should really play Batrider, if that makes sense. So, first thing, this game just sounds awesome. All the music in this game rules. This game's audio kicks ass. All the audio is fantastic. Visuals are incredible. One thing I want to highlight real quick. Let me roll back just a second here to the character selection screen.
A lot happened in those 20 seconds.
Yeah. Character select order, picking a character. Okay.
That motorcycle has
about
a man face. It does. I see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters in this game, so I want to start off with that. So the top row, all of those are the Batrider characters, so they're like the originals for this. Normally you pick one of the teams, and the teams are 3 characters, and it's like you have 3 lives, and each of them is one of the characters. So normally you'll pick like a team of 3 characters, you go through them over the course of the run, that whole thing. The thing that I think is really interesting is the bottom row are all guest characters from previous games by this company. So you have a bunch of like World War II planes from Battle Garega, and then like one of those is just a dragon man with a jetpack. One of them is a carpet.
I remember the carpet
One of them's like
game.
a little lady on a magic carpet. Yeah. So there's a ton of characters. This playthrough is using Strawman. Every character has 4 versions as well. This game has so much depth and complexity to it. It's absolutely outrageous. There's a huge cast of characters. All of them are really fun to play. All of them are really fun to mess with. Some are better than others for sure. So other things that are fascinating. This game has more secret bosses in it than any game I've ever played in my life. Like, this game has, I want to say, more secret bosses than normal bosses by a factor of 2. Like, it's outrageous. Also, the bosses, the secret conditions are like real schoolyard bullshit. So one that would have triggered is, so this segment, you see how you can shoot like the house and the sign in front of it separately? So if you fly around back and blow up the house and then fly back around front and knock the sign over after you've already blown up the house, instead of just blowing up normally, birds will fly out and the announcer will go, "Wonderful!" And then if you have one of the characters, you have to have one of the guest characters from the Magic series. So not Battle Garega, the other one. You need one of the other guest characters. And then if you've done all of that, it will spawn an extra boss. Like, stuff like that. So it's just like nonsensical without a guide. It's fantastic. There's so many of them. All the bosses are so cool in this game. This game is ludicrously hard, by the way. I will not beat around the bush. There is a basic difficulty, which is like pretty learnable on a 1cc. Like you can definitely make it happen with a bit of practice. And then there's advanced, which is what most folks play, and that one gets really hard. Yeah, this game does give you the name of the songs at the bottom. That's right. The boss fight theme is "Let's Ass Kick Together," which kicks ass, dude. This game is so cool. It's awesome. Yeah, this game gets wild hard. So other details, reasons you maybe don't want to play Batrider. First off, it's hard as shit, man. it gets so hard. It's hard. It's gonna get hard. If you're not into that, if you're not up for that, it's cool. Don't play Batrider. Batrider, if you turn it on incorrectly, will be angry at you. Batrider has what's referred to as a rank system, which means if you're playing super clean, doing super good, the difficulty of the game will start climbing up as you're playing. For example, if you have full lives and you haven't like lost any ships yet, and you get the game to drop an extra life, which is like really hard to do. You have to be really good at the game to make that happen. If you do pick that up, it is the worst mistake you've ever made in your life, because the game's difficulty rank jumps up by like 21%, which is like too much. Like too much. So if you want the best chance of beating this game, you need to go into the system menu, go to game start, and press the start button explicitly and nothing else, and then the game will start at normal difficulty. Yeah. Other things about Batrider. If for whatever reason you don't like the bullet colors, like I play the character that Pearl is using in this run, Strawman C, because he's really strong, really good, pretty easy to aim with, really strong homing, good piercing, etc. But a lot of pink and purple bullets. I personally struggle with the default laser colors with this, but if you hold the start button, holding start and tapping, I want to say it's like up, right, left, and down. You can change like the main laser color, the erasable laser color, and like the circle bullet color. And you can just get all of them changed to whatever color you want. And there's like 10 different choices available. So you can customize the bullet stuff, which is legitimately very nice for visibility. This game is really hard though. This is the second boss and it's already getting pretty outrageous.
Yeah.
I wanted to show, not sure what bosses. Well, first of all, the Highways music is unbelievable. They just don't make them like that, you know?
It sounds like the billiards music from the old pocket games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude. So if you do want to play this game, I recommend playing it on MAME. There's a couple different patches people have that will add displays that tell you about certain features, what sub bosses you have available, stuff like that. Really good information if you're starting out learning the game. So this boss fight against Sobut is a really, this moment at the end of this stage, there are up to 3 bosses you can be forced to fight. The first one you fight is dependent on what order you chose your stages in. And then this game has a mechanic where if instead of picking up 3 shot power-ups or 3 assist power-ups or options, you just let them go off screen and then pick up the 4th one, it instantly maxes that out. So like if you miss 3 shot power-ups and then pick up the 4th one, you instantly get full shot power, which is great, with the exception of now you have to fight a second Gundam at the end of this stage. And then if you do the same thing for options, you have to fight a 3rd Gundam at the end of the stage. The red one, okay, yeah, Pearl's smart gaming, does not fight the other 3. There is a red one that is so hard, it is outrageous. trying to think of like other major stuff to mention about this game. Oh yeah, so great detail here. Pearl, again, like I said, is at full lives and spawns an extra life here, which happens at every 1.5 million points. You can hear the disappointment in the narrator's voice when Pearl just lets this fall off screen. Pearl is right, though. The narrator can eat a dick. If Pearl picked that up, life would have been so bad. But yeah, this is Batrider. It scales up in wild ways. The boss fights are so cool. There's a ton of secret bosses to check out. The music's great. If you're playing it on MAME, obviously you can just put in as many quarters as you want. Oh, that's a really good thing I should mention. This prank happened to me when I first streamed this game, and it could happen to you. Don't let it happen to you. So, you know, like I said, you're probably playing this on MAME, which means you can put in as many quarters as you want. To which I must say, do not put in as many quarters as you want. Absolutely not. So remember that rank system I was talking about where the game like crawls up difficulty slowly as you do better?
Oh, no.
So the number of credits you currently have in reserve on the machine acts as a multiplier. So
no.
if you try to be a little prince and just dump 12 coins in the machine, the game is going to get hard so much faster. Yeah, the game will absolutely ruin you if you try to pay to win. It will make you pay to lose.
Oh my god.
Yeah, thanks for the quarters, dummy.
Oh, you trying to hog the machine? Well.
Yeah. And so I think the other thing that's interesting about the different characters is there are some that are definitely better than others overall, but a lot of them hold really interesting positions in how they can be used and how they can be played. Like Carpet, the kind of, you know, jokey character that's like a little goober on a carpet. Actually is the highest scoring character in the game, as far as I know, as of right now. They just have incredibly high piercing damage straightforward. Like, they have like almost no options. Their reversal bomb's a little sketchy, but they just shit damage. So very valid. But yeah, Batrider, man, check it out. Are there challenge runs of this game with the difficulty cranked to max? Absolutely. If you just want to watch Batrider, I recommend Pearl STG, who is Pearl ASE-PRL is the channel. All sorts of great playthroughs of this. Also some really, really good tutorials on if you want to try and play Batrider. If you have decided I am taking on the mantle of Batrider, I'm ready to give it a shot. I don't care that this game's mean. I don't care that this game's going to constantly prank me. I don't care that it's going to kick me in the genital triangle as hard as it can. I want a Batride, baby. Pearl's got some great guides on like the right way to start up the machine, how to run it correctly, what characters are pretty good, and some good starting advice on how to make sure you don't accidentally crank your rank to the moon, stuff like that. Yeah, so like that's my pitch for Batrider. And again, if nothing else, check out the OST. The soundtrack for Batrider is crazy. You're gonna love it.
Love that this game needs a guide on etiquette so that it doesn't kick you in the dick.
I love it. Yeah, like you have to be into that. If you hear that and you're like, "That's stupid. Why would I deal with that?" Don't play Batrider. Not for you.
I mean, it's funny. It's extremely funny.
There are so many cool robots in this. Like I'm trying to contain myself, but every time like a new big red Gundam like shows up on this screen, I'm just like, that's the sickest thing I've seen in years.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can find the.
Man, there was a wall that looked like Pinbot's fucked up gunner cousin. And like, oh man, that thing was so cool.
I want to see if I can find an all bosses run of Batrider so I can show you.
I'm gonna melt.
One of them in particular. So when I was mentioning how there's 3 bosses that can spawn, so first of all, let's talk about some of these extra bosses. So this is a normal guy. Oh yeah, this boss rules. This is like one of my favorite genre of boss, for the record, is the boss is being carried by a couple of helicopters. You have to shoot the helicopters down as they're trying to shoot you, and then it opens up, and then the boss shoots at you. And he does like cool donut shit. I think that's fire.
Hey, this is like from nowhere, but I would absolutely play one of those helicopters if somebody wanted to make a cool PvE MMO type game where everybody was just a ship trying to stop this guy. I feel like that'd be fun.
So
Anyway.
this is Bassinet, which is one of the bosses from one of the previous games. There are 3 different encounters with this guest boss in this game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. Here's the Great Mecha Goblin, which is also an optional boss from another series.
Look at it. What?
Yeah,
I've seen him before.
Bassinet Final, which love Bassinet Final. And then what was the one I wanted to show you?
Oh, that's
so,
got big
like I said,
R&B energy.
you have the green one, which is the easiest one. If you're trying to beat the game without continuing for the first time, make sure you're only fighting this one. Then there's the yellow one, Blunt, that is also pretty sick and pretty dangerous. It's the big heavy boy with 2 heads, 2 cannons, 2 arms, etc.
Oh, it's
And the one that I think you'll like is the red one, which is the one that if you want to finish this game with a 1cc, you do not have the red one show up because the red one is a son of a bitch. The red one has attacks that are so much worse than all of the rest of them by such a large amount. It's kind of absurd. Look at this baloney. look at this bull crap.
No. Oh, geez.
God, I love Batrider. It's so sick. And then it does it's like, yeah, were you ready for that one too? Hope so. Well, anyway, here's the Prestige. More of these.
Yo,
Yeah.
Blue Blazer.
So that's Batrider. Check it out. Or don't. Probably don't. But if you do, oh man, you're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Cool.
Thank you. Looks good.
Yeah.
I've seen those bosses before, but I probably ran into them in their respective original games.
Yeah. They pull them from like 3 or 4 different series, which it's wild. It's a game that's only like 5 stages long, but if you do every secret boss, it ends up being like 13 for some reason.
What you got for us, Wobbly?
So I have one more. And this is a little auto battler that I did get sort of on a lark through Keymailer way earlier, called Goblin Auto Club Manager, or Goblin Auto Club. I started a new file, and I probably shouldn't have, but again, it was like 3 a.m. when I was recording the audio for the video for this stuff. This is a little auto battler about getting an idiot goblin to win car races. This is a game that I don't like. I don't crack this open and play it really actively. This is a really good game for, like, you know, when you're tired, man. When you're like kind of cosmically tired and you want a game to play, but you also kind of want it to play itself in a lot of ways, you know? You get a little goblin, you put him in a car, and you can customize like the wheels, the motors, and you'll unlock that stuff, you know, over time. And then you let him go, right? You can set sort of the aggression rating of the driver, and they will make real head-ass moves if you turn it up too high, or they will drive like an absolute infuriating, you know, like grandma in the shopping aisle taking up the whole row, misery monster type thing. It's a really kind of like satisfying experience. We get into the game proper here, where we have the training, which is you get to put your little guy in a car. They've got quick links that go back to the garage, so you can swap things around like your driver. There is a shop over here. We got very lucky on this run. That 3-bar is good. We can afford it. So we bought the 3-bar. And regrettably, it's the best car you're gonna see for the entire, like, however long I recorded. Unfortunately, we got a winner immediately. There's a bunch of little stats over there on the left-hand side. There's, you know, weight, there's power, there's rolling resistance, there's air resistance, there's braking, which is like a big deal. You would be surprised to find out in racing. And you just kind of configure it as best you can with the resources you have available to set a good lap time, and you cut them loose on the course. Here I'm kind of going through and setting things up. The 3 bar is good. We've got Prottle, Mata, and Clint. Mata is the right amount of aggressive, I find, for the way that I like my goblins to drive. So Mata is our driver. We've got a little scooter, we've got a big truck, we've got a car, and then we've got this 6-wheeled monstrosity that we bought. 6-wheeled monstrosity just ended up being real good. This is a game that is kind of Zen-like, and visually is yet another nice little love letter to DOS games, you know, from that like 1001 Games CD era.
There's some good games.
It has, yeah.
There's gotta be. There's 1,000 of them.
900 bad ones.
Yeah, this is one of the ones where, like, if this came out back in that time period, it would have a cult following, you know, to this day. You can see here I'm just sort of doing a little ghost lap, seeing if this has any beans to it at all. It does, so we get in there. It's real cute, real nice. There's like 3 buttons dedicated to changing the speed of the race. I don't tend to do it because I just like to watch the game go. There is an activate stupidly aggressive driving mode where your car will boost and damage itself over time. And there is a hey buddy, hit the pits button. Keeping your car in good repair means that it stays fast sort of passively. So it's a good idea to stay as close to the top of your bar as you can sort of get it. Anywhere below 50%, your car will begin struggling, but it is not always an option to like go fix it. Here, we're the orange car going around. This scooter is blocking us out. They got me there. I'm in 4th. I have to solve the race from here on out. Luckily, our car is very good. Our goblin is also pretty good. And god dang it!
Very Ivan Iron Man off-road racing.
I am unfamiliar, but I can imagine that this is not the first game to sort of like try and hit this formula. Like in a good way. This game just, oh yeah, we took that corner a little too fast, had to hit the brakes and stop. Slowed us down a whole mess.
A little horizontal.
You can see how this like becomes compelling despite the premise. The guy in front of us has to pit, so we know we can just like kind of cheese out on this. Just gotta wait him out. Unless we also pit.
Unless now you have to.
Busted. Idiot. It is wild the way that this game sort of gets into your head in like some fun ways. There's not a ton to say about it, and the footage is, I'm gonna be real, it's this. Oh yeah, sometimes they like give you a Chivo. They give you a little newspaper.
Mid race. Take a break, read this.
Yeah. So the arrows, and apology that was mentioned earlier, is there like, can you run this at fast forward at like triple speed to like really blast through the simulation? Okay, word. Because my little dumb brain is like, yeah, this reminds me of Gran Turismo 5, where you could set up and train drivers and make them run the Nürburgring at 8x speed. Yeah, absolutely. That's what this is to me. Sure, why not?
There's the people who made Game Dev Story made a car sim that is like this, and it's reminding me of that.
So I don't really discover the arrow keys until like the very end of the session. The day that I like streamed this, I think it was one of those days where I just like accidentally streamed for 8 hours. Because it just got its hooks into me. We've taken first, by the way, while we were talking, and we're just kind of like jamming through here.
Took you 7 laps, but nice work.
Yeah, well, it was a 9-lap race, so you know, only last one matters.
Yeah,
That's true.
Different races will be sort of generated with different parameters. Sometimes it's only a 3-lap race, and you gotta like push really hard, and your strategy changes based around that. If you wanna mouse ahead, like sort of in the video, there are different maps, and I think we do at least one race on the cool disco course. It should be like mostly black.
The subtle movement on those trees is driving me insane. Okay, yes, thank you. Oh my god, disco.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're still using the one car because it was very good.
Wait, so you go faster on the disco lights, I see.
So the disco lights trail behind you, and I was choosing to turbo. This was only a little 3-lap race too, so we had to like be very aggressive very quickly.
But see, like, leave a draft line behind you, so if somebody comes behind you, they can catch up faster by riding on your wake, more or less.
I don't know if that's mechanical or purely visual, honestly. You could search me. I do know though that the glass floor is very slippery, and if you have your goblin driving particularly aggressively, this map gets clown shoes very quickly.
Yeah.
It's very fun, especially like later in the game when you have super fast cars and your goblins are not mentally equipped to handle that. They are not smart enough for that business. And then there's like one more track that we had access to in like the really early game. There's a whole mess of them. There's like ice tracks with ice physics and sort of stuff. Yeah, here we go. This like forest one, which I guess they just kind of like stuck me up in there after I streamed it, which is neat and everything. But like, here's the game sort of running at 2x, just cooking. But yeah, it's fun. It's ponderous, little meditative at times. This one's here for you, is I guess the way that I would describe it. Comfortable.
Neat.
I love making a little shithead and putting him in a car that's too fast and being like, "Good luck out there, cowboy." Yeah, that's it. That's a good time. That's like Kerbal, you know. That's a lot of what Kerbal is. It's like, I built a machine full of way too much horsepower for your stupid little ass. Get out there.
Take this car and do what you want with it. Don't drive yourself to death.
Yeah,
Or
I have
do.
stacked the deck in your favor. Please do not ruin this for me. But yeah, it's oh yeah, we also found a cool motorcycle in the junk at one point. I was trying to save up to buy it. I don't think that I ever did.
Quite a bit of
Regrettably.
sense.
Yeah,
I can't get over the subtle movement on the foliage. I don't know how they're doing that, but it's driving me crazy. Like a de-res video.
Which one?
It's on
like the.
on like the junkyard screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't think I've ever paid attention to it.
It's so insignificant.
Oh no, we did get the motorcycle, and it wasn't as fast as the car, and I was very sad.
Curious in the ghost,
I
too?
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were not as fast as the car, apparently.
no.
On this screen.
Incredible.
Look at those trees in the back.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I think it's like a little wiggle filter with like a pixelization thing. It's probably shader driven. I don't know.
Wild.
It's just like a really mellow, good way to unwind in like an afternoon. If you're like Steam casting to your phone or whatever, like this is a real winner for that kind of thing.
All right. Thank you. I think I saw you playing some of that.
It's good. I like it.
Dog, did you have it? You're done, right?
Yep. I am gamed out, but
Everybody's done then, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't play Batrider. Or do. but only if you're cool. You know how it is.
I grabbed the trailer for one of the games I did last time, just like a 1-minute thing. Mini Shoot Adventures. Still like it.
Yeah.
Still a fan of this roguelike, you're a little ship, level your ship up, and shoot more than you did before, so you can level your ship up, so you can shoot more than you did before.
This looks cool.
It's really good.
The visual style
It's like
is
twin
very
stick
striking.
too.
Yes.
It feels really good to control. Yeah.
You get a bunch of leaps in flight at some point, and you definitely get more shoot speed because you start with this little crappy rifle, and here's all your upgrades.
Now, is this like a fail forward, roguelite thing, or are you building from nothing every run?
It's a campaign. You don't
It's
really.
like Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, you don't permanently die. You just he's collecting XP every time an enemy drops a coin here, basically, and you spend it.
Okay, I'm into that.
I would say it plays like almost like a twin stick Link to the Past, kinda.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because that swimming that they were doing there is an ability you get. You can't do that at the beginning. You gotta earn that. Can't really jump or turbo until you earn it. Hey, that's Talkin Pit, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I meant to
Hey, I'm
when we
talking
started
here.
this do it monthly. I probably am going to try to do more of this next year, so we can maybe get on a regular schedule with that. People can just sign up when they want to do something. We'll do the hour thing. That sounds like something I can accomplish in 2025.
yeah, this is I've never like edited a video together for this kind of thing before, like the Helldivers footage, but I had a good time doing it, and getting a little more structured about things would be. I'd be interested in doing it again.
I had 7 hours to prepare and I needed all of them, but thank you for letting me know with all that time.
It should be easier to prepare than 7 hours, but I appreciate the effort.
I like to overthink things.
Can I talk about Batrider every month? Can I just keep being like, the game of this month is still Armed Police Batrider?
It can be done.
It's
Can I specifically request that you talk about Batrider more?
Batrider, vroom. It's good stuff.
Wait, thanks for joining me. Folks, if you're not following TieTuesday, WobblyPython, or The Voice of Dog, their names are right there in the title. Grab them. Give them a like.
Like, if you decide you hate me later, unclicking the button is just as easy as clicking it. I promise you.
I'll know though. If you unfollow me, I'll find you.
There's a few people who have followed me 5 times and don't think I don't know your name.
I definitely have a couple of those.
Well, I think I'm calling it. I was going to stream some more, but we went for a good chunk of time. I'm gonna do some game ratings tomorrow, but for now, I'm gonna find somebody to host. Who's online?
Newbie's going? Juker's going?
I haven't rated newbie in a long time. Octopath Traveler 2. Another person to follow. Folks, thanks for joining me. And thanks for all the subs, too. I really appreciate it. The Valorant thing is still running. That helps.
That's how we live
That's true.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good one. See you later, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. It's fun to act like we know what we're talking about for a bit.
Yeah.